Hello and welcome to Sport FM's coverage of Billericay Town against Dulwich Hamlet from the AGP Arena in Essex. I'm Michael McCann, and tonight it's first versus third in the Bostick League, the 7th tier of English football for those wondering where this game sits within the wider English football pyramid. Joining me on summariser duties tonight is local cardiologist and sports enthusiast Gerald Clesham, or Jez, as I'll know him.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mike.
For the purposes of tonight, Jez, as a local resident living in Essex, watching on, just how much of a buzz has there been about Billericay Town this season?
There's been a lot happening at this ground, and it's not gone unnoticed in the county of Essex. People have noticed the ground's been built up, there's been some high-profile players in, they're riding high in the league, so there's a lot of expectation about what can be achieved at this club.
Tonight's a clash between two promotion contenders who are both struggling recently when it comes to the last 6 games. It's actually 15th against 21st in the form table. Looking at the home side first, and Billericay Town will be happy to be back in league action here at the AGP Arena after losing 3 consecutive away games. During that run, manager and owner Glenn Taplin sacked himself as manager after the 5-2 FA Trophy loss to Wealdstone, though he'd been rarely attending matches anyway in 2018 due to persistent illness. Then after 2 days of meetings, it was decided Taplin would carry on until the end of the season, when at that point current assistant Harry Wheeler will take over. Jez, could what's happened behind the scenes destabilise Billericay's promotion chances?
It depends how the team's been running. Do they have leaders amongst them who have kept the show going? Their last 3 games haven't gone well, but are they dependent on the manager to keep the show going, in which case it might be very unsettling for them to not know who's going to be arriving in the dressing room. You want to have some continuity in football clubs, and this is a really important time of the season. They are riding high. They've had 3 games where they've lost, but will it affect them? We'll see tonight.
Billericay are still in a very strong position, it must be said. 1 point clear of second placed Margate, but with 6 games in hand on them. Meanwhile, Dulwich are 2 points off Ricky, having played 4 games more. Given Billericay's superb home record and having 4 games here in their next 5 league matches, is this their best chance to all but secure the title, Jez?
You want to make the most of your opportunities now, and because of fixture congestion and pile-ups, they have got a lot of games in hand. So you want to make use of that, but there's no point having to wait. You want to get points on the board as soon as you can.
They certainly will, but Dulwich Hamlet will have something to say about that. They'll be desperate to put, at the very least, a thorn in the Billericay Town crown, if not rekindle an unlikely title challenge of their own. Of course, only one goes up automatically in this division as we fight the Tannoy and Kasabian behind us. And Dulwich Hamlet will be seeking to avoid potential playoff heartbreak yet again, but they're winless in their last 6 league games, so on a poor run of their own. They'll be thinking, though, they can go top tonight if Margate fail to win at Leiston and they get the win here. What chance do you give Gavin Rose's men of spoiling the Billericay party and still having a say in this title race?
Well, they've got to be consistent. Obviously, they haven't done well in the last 6 games now. This is a big night for them. They can put a marker down if they win tonight. They play nice football, but it's a big game. Can they keep control on the pitch and play the nice football we know they're able to?
Certainly a big night for both teams. On that note, it should be said, Dulwich Hamlet are only actually 5 points clear of 6th place Staines, who sit just outside the playoff places. So it really is tight at the top, whether you look up or down. The South London boys, Dulwich, though, it must be said, have got even bigger things to worry about, though, facing death or possibly leaving their ground this season. Now, there might be some neutrals listening to us wondering what I'm talking about. Well, see if you can follow this one as the 2 teams come out and we take you through this tale of woe. So Dulwich have been caught in the middle of a conflict between property developers Meadow, who own the club's Champion Hill home, and the local Southwark Council, who've refused plans for a development on nearby land over the levels of affordable housing with that development. When talks broke down in November, developers Meadow cut off crucial funding for the club and have kept approximately £50,000 worth of bar revenue that's accumulated since then as well. A month later, Meadow rejected a bid of approximately £10 million from Rio Ferdinand's Legacy Group, who would have been seen as more favourable tenants for the football club because they want 13 million plus. Since then, it's been a stalemate, leaving Mayor of London Sadiq Khan deeply concerned, Dulwich Hamlet's future deeply uncertain. Now, things progressed further last night because Meadow terminated Dulwich's licence to play at Champion Hill after charging them a back-rented bill of £121,000 they couldn't afford, leaving the club meeting MPs in Westminster today and exploring ground-sharing options. Well, hopefully you've managed to stay with me through that. And Jez, they say you can't separate politics and sport, or business and sport. A sad situation all round.
Well, we hear about big money deals at the upper end of the Premier League, and we think the sport's awash with money. But whenever these sorts of things have happened to other clubs, it hasn't ended well. There was the fiasco with the Ricoh Stadium with Coventry City moving away, and it's a complete catastrophe for the club. I can't think how this could possibly be beneficial to the players out there. They're just wondering what's going to be happening, not only in a few months' time, but in week to week.
Absolutely, and maybe that's contributed to the difficulties Dulwich have experienced recently on the pitch, which is where we'll be focusing our action, certainly for the next 45 minutes or so predominantly. Dulwich Hamlet attacking from left to right as we look at things in all pink. Meanwhile, in all dark blue from right to left is Billericay as R. Kelly's The Greatest plays out. And for those who know their Billericay Town history, this song is building a certain association and semblance with the club. But just to quickly bring another update onto that story, today a subsidiary of the landlord's Meadow they registered the trademarks back in October 2017, but they used them today. The trademarks being Dulwich Hamlet Football Club, the Hamlet and DHFC, and sent a letter requesting that those trademarks are not used anywhere by the club, including printed literature, websites and Twitter, which led to Peter John, leader of Southwark Council, who's been central to this debate, saying today things are even worse than I thought they would be yesterday, and Meadow are trying to drive the club off Champion Hill and into extinction, and I'm angry for our community, which, well, it's a ridiculous situation, really. It seems to get worse, from day to day.
Well, this can only end up in the courts, and you can't think that this is going to end well. And it's going to be expensive, it's going to add uncertainty. How this is possibly going to benefit the football club, it's very, very difficult to say. But, you know, the players are there, they're playing for their future. Maybe it might motivate them, and they'll be on the shop window now.
That's a cynical way of seeing it, but I totally understand where you're coming from, Jez. And as I said, we will come back to the game because the players are about to kick off here, and we'll run you through the teams, which I've also got in front of me, as we're all set for Dulwich Hamlet versus Billericay Town. And Michael McCann, thank you very much for joining me for this one. Gerald Clesham in the summariser's chair. We are off and underway. Billericay with the kick-off on a slightly muddy and sandy playing surface, but given the poor weather we've recently had, it's in a pretty good state. Dulwich win a free kick in their own half, which gives me a chance to run you through the two teams as we see them, which is Billericay Town, back four from right to left. Alan Julian in goal, I should say, the very experienced Julian, one of a number of Dulwich Hamlet players with experience a few levels above this one. Alan Julian in goal, back four from right to left of Joe Kizzy, Dean Inman, the captain, Rob Swain and Josh Urquhart. Midfield four from right to left, Ricky Modeste, Danny Waldron, Callum Butcher and Sam Deering, with Adam Cunnington and Jake Robinson up top. We've got almost 70 goals between them across all competitions this season. It's a long ball forward from Dulwich, ends with a throw-in for Billericay in the right-back position. The Dulwich Hamlet team, well, they go for their traditional back five, which will create an interesting tactical match-up tonight. The ball's in play, though, so we'll just get back to that formation in a second. Here's Alassani breaking towards the edge of the box. Just loses out, but Hamlet recycle possession. Now here's Cardbo. Cardbo spreads it right, and it's an ambitious shot from distance by Sanchez Ming. Billericay's got a chance to clear their lines. Adam Cunnington putting some pressure on Mark Weatherstone. It's a real non-league scuffle for the ball, and it ends in a Billericay free kick just inside the Dulwich Hamlet half down the left flank. And while they're setting up for that one, and Adam Cunnington wipes the mud off him, the tall one-time Cambridge striker, we will take you through that Dulwich Hamlet team. Back five from right to left: Sanchez Ming, Mark Weatherstone, Ricky Hales, Quade Taylor and Tanashay Abrahams. Ibrahim Cardbo and Ashley Carew will sit in front of that back four, we think, with Nyron Clunis playing behind Reece Alassani and Dippo Akinyemi. Free kick to be taken here by Urquhart. They're shaping up to pump it into the box with 5 blue shirts in there. It is towards the far post, but well caught by the keeper in all light blue for Dulwich Hamlet, the Coventry City loanee Corey Adai. The substitutes for Billericay Town: Billy Bricknell, Nick Wheeler, Matt Payne, Rob Evans and Liam Hughes. Clark Cunnington, another ex-Cambridge United player. And Dulwich Hamlet subs Mamadou Fall, Nathan Green, Anthony Achiempong, Kenny Beanie and Nathan Ferguson. Long hopeful board from Dulwich Hamlet only ends in a free kick, which Alan Julian in his all yellow, looking a little bit like a safety steward, will take. Jez, your early impressions of the pitch and tonight's game?
I think the groundsmen have done a good job to get the pitch in good condition, but it is a bit boggy in parts and there's sand out there. You can see the ball is holding up a little bit, and I wonder if that will play a part in the match tonight.
It's not an ideal pitch for passing football, but as we've explained, due to storm... Well, what was it called? I've forgotten its blooming name now.
Storm Emma.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being our resident meteorologist on the programme tonight. Long ball forward, chased by the pacey Clunis, but a little too pacey and a little too offside as well.
Yeah, it was a chance there, but it was a bit ambitious that he'd reached that.
Thank you very much to the 7 listeners tuning in. Please do share this link around on Twitter. By virtue of the fact that we are busy bringing you this fixture, we can't be doing that ourselves, but any help with that much appreciated. Feel free to tag both clubs in at BTFC and also at Dulwich Hamlet FC. Plenty of jokes I heard in the press box tonight of can we refer to them as Dulwich Hamlet with that trademark situation, but someone wryly pointed out that it's only technically the club who aren't allowed to say that, as Ricky Modeste chases one level with the edge of the penalty area down the right hand side. Does well to keep it in as well, Modeste. Crosses on his left foot, flicked on by Robinson. Excellent save by the goalkeeper to his right-hand side. Courier Dye uses all of his 6'6" frame to keep that one out. Good header from Robinson, chasing yet another goal to add to his tally. It would have been a 43rd in all competitions, but the keeper equal to it. Corner.
That was a good chance, actually. This is the way to play tonight. Keep it simple, but it was very nearly a goal.
Corner to come in, right-footed, in swinging. There's 6 blue shirts in there. Dulwich Hamlet have left 3 up, which is interesting. And it is nearly another goal. Nearly another chance, I would say. Pardon me, forgot how to speak there. Decent chance. And Billericay Town will feel they should have got themselves in front again. Dean Inman that time, and again a die with a good save.
The goalkeeper's playing really well, actually. He's on his toes, because I think it's probably his first 2 touches of the ball.
Don't think he's had a touch in open play yet.
No, I don't think so. No,
but the first thing he's had to do is make 2 difficult-headed saves from close range.
The second one, I mean, it was from a yard out. This really was top goalkeeping.
Right-footed in swinging it will come. It's the Billericay Town fans who you can hear singing behind that goal, trying to suck it into the net. It is another good corner, but the die this time punches away. I mentioned that Dulwich Hamlet have left 3 up, and that gives them the possibility of starting a break. Here's Clunis carrying the ball with real purpose and verve. Beats one tackle, but then eventually is stopped by Callum Butcher, and it runs all the way through to Alan Julian, who just calms things down for a second. Can confirm as well for those interested in Tamplin watch that Glenn Tamplin has made it to the game tonight. He's not been at many of the matches in 2018 due to a severe bug, an illness that has persistently stopped him being there, which has also maybe not been discussed too much because the attention has been focused on the interesting incident of him deciding to get rid of himself before promptly being reinstated, as Billericay continuing their promising start. Here's Robinson going down the right, crossing towards the far post, and with the attention of Modeste, Weatherstone has to be sure, heads it out into touch. It's a 3rd Dulwich Hamlet corner conceded already, and Billericay Town are all over the away side.
Well, Billericay are making the most of the opportunities here. They're keeping it simple and they're adapting to the conditions here. I don't think this is going to be a great night for pretty football passing because the pitch isn't good enough. Corner in, headed away but not convincingly, and Cunnington at the far post just missed his kick, and of all the people Billericay fans would have wanted that chance to fall to, aside from, if you're being harsh on Cunnington, Jake Robinson, he was probably your man with just the 26 goals in all comps this season, but missed his kick, and after I make it about 7 or so minutes in this first half, it is goalless. Well, Billericay have clearly had the best chances. I think you can see the potential that Dulwich have. They move the ball around nicely, but tonight might not be a good night for moving the ball around. The pitch isn't in great condition, but I think Billericay are up for this. They've certainly come out with real purpose and verve. Maybe Glenn Tamplin's tweet motivated them. We'll come back to that in a second, because here's Clunis down the right, looking to create Dulwich's first decent chance of the night. Back to Weatherstone. Weatherstone just inside the Billericay half. It's a good ball into the channel for Dipo Akinyemi to chase. He holds it up nicely. It's the Billericay fans that you can hear making noise. The Dulwich fans behind the goal their side is attacking in this
first half, just a little bit nervous maybe after seeing their keeper needing to make those 2 early saves to keep it at 0-0. Cleared away by Billericay. It's a midfield scrap. Headed on by Robinson towards Cunnington, who heads it back to Robinson. Robinson is in down the inside left channel. What options has he got? Really well tackled by Mark Weatherstone. The fullback, alert to the danger of the pacey Robinson, just checked his run inside, shepherded him in, stole the ball off him and put it out for a throw.
Very important covering tackle there. He was in on goal.
Throwing to be taken by Urquhart. All shaped up for a long throw. Good atmosphere in here. A lot of spectators pouring into the ground in the last 15 minutes or so before the game started. In comes that long throw, flicked on, and it is in! Billericay Town have the lead. It's the captain, Dean Inman, who is claiming the goal. And just as Dulwich Hamlet chairman Liam Hickey had made his way to his seat within the first 10 minutes, it had been coming. The leaders of the league, Billericay Town, show that why they are exactly that. Dean Inman heads in from the long throw. It's Billericay 1, Dulwich 0.
The goalkeeper might be a bit disappointed with that, being caught out, but it's an unusual header backwards. But he's a big goalkeeper, and it's maybe not that easy to get down so quickly. Well, I think the Billericay have adapted well. They are not going for the short ball as well, but they're making chances. They've got a goal now. Their tails are up. The crowd are buzzing here.
You really sense that if this was a difficult evening assignment for Dulwich Hamlet before kick-off, it's now got a lot harder. They've taken just 6 points from their last 6 away games, Hamlet, and they're now 1-0 down. Long ball forward, though, taken down by Clunis from the kick-off for Hamlet. As they try and find a way back in. Cargbo crosses it into the box. There is 2 pink shirts there. Neither can get there, though. Cleared by a combination of Butcher and Inman. Cargbo finds Alassani down the left. Alassani is offside, and Glenn Tamplin is very keen to applaud the linesman's decision.
Disappointing to be caught offside there. He was along the line, he could have seen where it was going, and I think he should have read that better. Very good atmosphere in the crowd here now. I think their tails are up. They've had 3 bad results, but come back home now, and I think they're expecting to see this through a little bit longer now.
Well, I think it's maybe a bit early to be using the phrase "see it through," Jez.
No, maybe it's another 75 minutes or so to go.
I'm sure Dulwich Hamlet will have a lot to say about that, but at the moment Billericay Town are pressing for a second. Robinson, not quite sure what he was trying to do there. Adam Cunnington with the flick on, and it shot straight at Corey Adai. I think he was maybe actually trying to chip him and didn't quite get under it, as Adam Cunnington adds another massive mud stain to his shorts with an attempted dive in on Sanchez Ming. Can't get there. Dulwich Hamlet win a throw just inside the Billericay half. 1-0 to Billericay, and deservedly so in the early moments of this game. Utterly dominated, but they've got a bit of defending to do here. Weatherstone clips it forward, headed down by Swain. Waldron can clear, and then Waldron is in fact fouled by Ash Carew, so it'll be a free kick for Billericay in the centre circle. Just going back to that goal, as you say, you often see teams from a long throw try and flick it on and look for a runner to support. It's not often you actually see someone from a long throw try and shoot. It was a very sneaky little near post header, and it was clever.
Sneaky and very effective goal, and I wonder if we'll see people trying this again, because I don't think the goalkeeper was expecting it at all, and the next thing he knew, the ball was in the back of the net.
I have to say, in the defence of Adai, it's not like the ball went straight through him. It was a well-directed header. Not an easy life being a goalkeeper. You make 2 good saves inside the first 5 minutes, but if you concede inside the first 10, it's all forgotten. So Alan Julian clips it forward, looking for Ricky Modeste. Modeste loses out. Now Cargbo feels he was fouled, and he was fouled by Butcher on the edge of the area. Dulwich Hamlet and Gavin Rose, who's probably about 10 yards in front of us, perusing the away dugout and barking at his players, might just be looking for a period of consolidation here, because otherwise they could get blown away, you sense.
Well, he's calling his players back. I think he feels like there's a lack of cover here.
Well, they do play with this front 3 when they go forward. Alassani being supported by Clunis and Akinyemi, and maybe they've left themselves overexposed. But here's Sanchez Ming just inside the Billericay Town half. Then goes back to Cargbo for Weatherstone. Featherstone looks forward. That's a decent ball into the channel that has to be dealt with, and Swain puts it out into touch. Dulwich Hamlet just trying to get themselves back into this one and get something of a foothold, which, as a metaphor, also works with the pitch being just a little boggy and sandy in places.
Dulwich aren't being able to get the ball to stick up front now. Whenever they inevitably lose possession when they go for one of these long balls.
Definitely say, even if you're being polite, they haven't quite found their passing rhythm yet, but any Billericay Town fans sitting here thinking it's 3 points in the bag is one that maybe hasn't looked at the form book, because although I say Dulwich have only taken 6 points from their last 6 on the road, they've got one of the best away records of anybody in the league. They've won 8 and drawn 5 and lost just the 2. That kind of record earns a certain amount of respect. One might also be interested to know from an off-field point of view, there's a banner behind the end the Dulwich fans are frequenting saying Meadow out. We'll come back to that in a second, as a good through ball forward for Robinson is just about cut out. Now it's back with Kizzy, the right back for Billericay. Goes for a long direct ball into the box towards the tall Cunnington. Cunnington does win it, only to a pink shirt. Took forward towards Alassani, headed away by Swain. And it is a game of head tennis. We are on to header number 5. Urquhart goes for number 6. Ash Carew with number 7. It ends up at the feet of Reece Alassani. One-time Crystal Palace loanee. He's given it away though, and now it's once again Billericay pressing, looking for a second shot from Jake Robinson. Is charged down, still 1-0. And after a quarter of an hour, it's the dark blues who are having all the play, really, Jez.
Optimistic to shoot from there, but it didn't look like he had a great number of options on, so he probably thought it was the only thing he could go for. But they've got a throw in now.
Throw in level with the edge of the penalty area down the right-hand side. Good opportunity for Billericay to go 2-0 up. Of course, it was a long throw that gave them the first goal, and it will be the long throw routine again. Headed down by Modeste, looking for a teammate. It's a bit of a bog in that penalty area. There's appeals for a free kick to Dulwich Hamlet, and those appeals are successful in the eyes of the man that matters, which is our referee Steve Hughes tonight, assisted by Alex Bradley, the linesman on the far side from us, on the near side Anthony Andrews. Free kick to be taken by Corey Adai who was once of the Arsenal youth system before leaving in 2014, and even before coming in as cover tonight for Preston Edwards, he will have known what to expect in this division, because he's had a loan spell at Hendon earlier this year under McCann, no relation of mine, that being Gary McCann, playing 3 league games and a couple of cup games. A die interaction there, just as I name him, clearing Six Nations fly half style out onto halfway under a bit of pressure from Robinson. Bit of time to get it back. Billericay Town with a 1-0 lead if you're just joining us late here, and a good value for it as well. Dean Inman, the captain, with the goal from a long throw. More pressure for Dulwich Hamlet to absorb here. Sam Deering cutting inside. He's got Clunis attending him, and Clunis puts in a brilliant tackle that wins the ball. The Billericay fans aren't happy. And Dulwich Hamlet have launched a breakout here. Dippo Akinyemi trying to get onto the through ball, and Alan Julian had to be alert, came right out to the edge of his area there, down the left-hand side, got there just in time. Dulwich Hamlet showing what they can offer on the break with their pace if Billericay lose their concentration.
I think that was a good tackle there. I think he was looking for a foul, but it was, for me, a good tackle which led to the break.
Now, Clunis, not someone who's normally, if we're honest, known for his defensive contributions, but showing it on that occasion as Dulwich Hamlet win a free kick just inside the Billericay half, and it's Clunis that did so. Callum Butcher with a foul, taken quickly and short, which is how Dulwich prefer to take their free kicks. And now they have it down the left flank, looking to put a good ball in here. Tanisha Abraham, full back. There's a coming together of legs, is one way of putting it, between Quaid Taylor and Ricky Modeste. The referee saw nothing in that either way.
That was a full-blooded challenge for the 2 committed players.
It was one of those where you just hope there's not a crunch of a bone afterwards, to be perfectly honest, because that's not really what we want to see. There's a bit of handbags at dawn in the centre of the field. Adam Cunnington, who is not a zen footballer, I would say, if I was being polite, and by his own admission, I know in interviews before he said as much, is involved. but it's nothing particularly harmful. And in important matters, number 6, Sam Deering, the left midfielder, is seeking a change of shirt within the first 20 minutes because his shirt is covered in mud. He's getting full on undressed. I'm not sure what he's up to here. Or he's taking an underlayer off, is he? I was going to say, people talk about pampered footballers. Someone asking for a change of shirt after just 20 minutes seems quite extreme. No, he is in fact taking an underlayer off, a black underlayer. Clearly not happy with having that extra layer on. It is quite a cold evening, but nothing compared to the snowy weather we had around the country last week and the minus temperatures that brought. Billericay once again playing territory as much as anything aesthetically pretty. Cunnington putting some pressure on. It's Abraham who will clear towards halfway. Akinyemi loses out, headed out to touch, throwing the Dulwich Hamlet in the left-back position. And maybe the away side are just weathering the storm, if you want to run with the analogy of Billericay talking about themselves as a ship, as they do so often.
Well, Billericay with the Mayflower references here, they do. The Pilgrim Fathers came from this area. But no, I agree that you are.
Asani just to cut in, almost getting on to the end of a long ball, but not quite. Goal kick, pardon me, on you go.
Now, I think Dulwich are sitting back a little bit further and probably looking a little bit more secure now.
They've grown into the game a little, but they'll have to do more than that here. 1-0 behind. Billericay Town, we talk about the fact they had this run of poor form going into this game, but I think it is all relative, like everything is, to the rest of their season. They've had quite an extraordinary time of it. They've also played more than 50 games already due to their various cup runs, and there is a possibility that the legginess from that could come back to haunt them as the season goes on, even with this big experienced squad that they've got.
Free kick now for Billericay. The number of players up forward now. This will be landed into the box. What will happen? So there's only one forward for Dulwich up front.
Comes into the box now. It's headed down, across goal. Falls to Butcher at the far post, blocked. Cargbo looks to clear, can't do so. It's an absolute scramble and it ends up in the hands of Corey Adai.
Was that a pass back?
Ooh, I see what you mean.
You rarely see them given though in the box when it's a short pass like that.
Correct, as a thumping challenge comes in from Joe Kizzy. I think it's fair to say that the Billericay fans enjoyed that. Blue Army they sing, and well they might. I was just saying, I didn't finish the point, but for all their poor form as well, they are projected to get 100 plus points if they keep going at the rate they have. Once this game is finished, Billericay will be near enough 2/3 of the way through their season, and they're on 67 points coming into tonight. So they are set for a stellar season as long as they can keep that run going through till the end.
I think tonight, up to now, will give them confidence. They've had 3 bad results, but now they do seem to be playing.
Here's Dulwich Hamlet breaking forward towards the edge of the box. They will come back to that. Nyron Clunis makes the wrong decision, shoots from the edge of the area. Never going to beat someone like Alan Julian from there, or very unlikely to. It goes out of play. Sam Deering is getting a bit of a puff on his inhaler and a chat with Harry Wheeler, the coaching team. But he looks okay to carry on. Alan Julian will take the goal kick. I mentioned about 5 or 10 minutes or so ago that maybe Billericay had been motivated by Glenn Tamplin's tweet, and I promised you I'd come back to it. He said Dulwich at home tonight after 4 defeats on the bounce, which was actually being a little harsh on his side. It was 3. We really need to get together and show what we're made of. Time to show we're league champions and bounce back. Meeting at 5 to get mentally prepared and to start our bounce back to the league title. Well, talk is cheap, so they say, but where it matters, which is on the pitch, it's been excellent from Billericay so far. They've got the lead, they've got the ball, they're throwing in the left-back position, and they've got control of this game, Jez.
I don't think Dulwich have had a shot on target, actually.
No, I don't think they have either.
So throw in for Billericay just inside their own half. It'll go down the line. Crowd of players. Billericay with the ball. Hang on.
And there is a chance for the second goal. Oh! Flags up. Sam Deering scores, and the spectators around us were ready to leap into joy at the money being doubled for Billericay Town. But the flag was up. It was a quick call, And in fairness, there's not many Billericay fans who are in line with that linesman who are showing any sign of complaint, which is normally a good sign in the world of football that the decision was spot on.
What's your impression of video refereeing then?
Oh, goodness me, what a question to ask. I've commentated on a lot of Bundesliga this season where they use the VAR. I think there's definitely bits that need to be ironed out, but people shouldn't be throwing the baby out with the bathwater, is what I'd say. Is Dulwich Hamlet coming back to this game concede a foul which Billericay Town will have in the left back position, but possibly owing to the conditions as much as anything else. Now they've noticed Dulwich have struggled to clear their lines at the back. Alan Julian is coming out of goal and almost onto the halfway line to take this, and I think, Jez, that only means one thing.
I think, as Alan Hansen would say, a ball is about to be launched into the opposition box.
Some launching is about to happen, and we're not talking about rockets. But it is completely understandable as to why, because at the moment Dulwich Hamlet aren't dealing with this threat, and the league leaders are 1-0 up. Can they go 2-0 up? Ball in towards Cunnington, well directed. It is cleared though to the feet of Clunis. Now here's Alassani. Alassani's brilliantly tackled. That's a superb piece of work by Danny Waldron. Now here's Ricky Modeste, level with the edge of the penalty area. Getting his box of tricks out. He beats the Dulwich man there, Abrahams, all ends up and wins the free kick. Could be a booking for Abrahams, but I think he might have just got away with that one. He certainly was second best, though.
It was close to the penalty area there.
It was, I must say, and maybe I might need to go to a certain optician, speaking as someone with glasses, as is my co-commentator, but I can't actually quite see the line on that far side. It is so faint, partially because of the mud. I think I can faintly pick it out, but the fact that there was no penalty appeals tells you everything you need to know. Free kick will come in from Sam Deering. Deering, who's been piling in the assists this season, has got 10 goals as well, but often more of a provider. They have got Callum Butcher on the edge of the box. Will they try something clever, or will they just put it into the proverbial mixer? They've got 5 in the box, predictably all of their tallest players. It is something clever. It finds Robinson blocked. It's a bit of penalty box pinball, pardon me, and now it does come back into the box from Deering, well caught by a die, who has had a busy night so far. He bowls it out early for Clunis. This is a 2-on-2 if Dulwich Hamlet can operate this break quickly. Clunis cutting inside, beats his man, keeps going. He's got Carew for support as well. Here's Clunis, and once again tonight, for not the first time, he makes a poor decision. He had Carew and he also had Dippo Akinyemi. Didn't use either of them. Now Adai plays sweeper keeper and finds Weatherstone. The Dulwich Hamlet fans starting to get into voice, believing in what they've seen from their side, injecting a bit of life into this game from their point of view after a difficult start to proceedings. I think it's fair to say we're about half an hour in here at the AGP Arena. It's first versus third, and it's first leading 1-0. Billericay have won it back. Here's Sam Deering down the left, finds Cunnington. Cunnington almost at the touchline. Well tackled by a combination of Sanchez-Ming and Weatherstone, but the ball falls through for Callum Butcher. Good save from Adai. It's still in there. Surely it's going to be a goal. No. Superb goalkeeping from Corey Adai. He is keeping Dulwich Hamlet in this game. They really, in some ways, you can argue, should be dead and buried. Come on, Ricky, chant the home fans as Ashley Carew fouls Sam Deering. So it will be a free kick 25 yards out, left of centre, to be taken by Billericay Town. I'd expect it to be the right boot of Sam Deering, but what a double save from Adai, Jez, from close range.
Adai has kept them in this game. I mean, he's made at least 4 really good saves here now.
I count 4 or 5, the 2 headers, and then there was 2 in that move as well. Deering was through, and it looked like it was going to slip under the body, which when you're a tall man isn't easy. Managed to get his hand in between his legs as he was falling over to block it, and then the second shot is well blocked by Adai. Deering setting up to possibly shoot now. You can hear the Billericay fans trying to suck that ball in for 2-0. 3 in the wall for Dulwich Hamlet. We've seen, and I've seen it following Billericay through the season, they like to try clever things from set pieces. Will they do the same here? Deering goes for the shot straight at the keeper. And Adai has gone for the quick bowl out often tonight, but this time he keeps the ball in hand.
There was a little deflection on that, and as you know, that ball can go anywhere in those circumstances. But the keeper was pretty solid behind it.
Certainly was Adai, and then puts boot to ball and uses a bit of Billericay's tactics on the home side. Here's Carew. Carew bursts away from one. He's got Cargbo for support, then tries to find Akinyemi, but it's a poor pass, well anticipated and cut out by Ricky Modeste. Modeste goes towards halfway. Cunnington feels he was fouled. He's told to get up by the referee. On we go. Here's Carew. Carew looks left for Tanushay Abrahams. Abraham slides it in behind, looking for Dippo Akinyemi, but the offside flag is up again. And having watched a fair bit of Dulwich Hamlet this season, they are regularly guilty of that. We don't have the stats for the 7th tier of English football, but they must be right up there given the amount of pace they've got in their side. Still 1-0.
Well, they only have to get it right a couple of times, but they're not getting the final ball right at the moment. They do have pace up front, but you have to pick your ball well.
One thing that is a positive for Dulwich Hamlet fans to come out of what has been a difficult first half an hour or so for their team is that they have at the very least managed to stop themselves getting completely buried in, because it could easily be 2 or 3-0 by now. Long ball forward from Alan Julian, looking for the predictable and impressive aerial threat of Adam Cunnington. Cunnington wins it, now ends up in the path of Ricky Modeste. Cleared out for a throw by Abraham, level with the edge of the area, so more Billericay pressure. Then Tamplin perusing the dugout with Harry Reeler, who will, as things stand, take over at the end of the season. Meanwhile, most importantly, all the spectators around us are reaching for their pockets because I believe it's the raffle or the golden gamble or whatever version of it this is termed in Billericay. My eyesight's not quite good enough to see that, but most importantly, although the text is in small writing, the jackpot, which is 180 quid, and the winning ticket is in nice big numbers. So even a blind bat like myself can pick that one up. We've only missed a couple of Billericay Town throw-ins that have gone nowhere, but they've got another one now. And it comes from Kizzy, flicked on by Modeste towards the dangerous Robinson. Robinson takes a touch, does get a shot away, but it's a bit miscued. It nearly actually fell for Cunnington, and it remains 1-0.
Well, I think Adai has kept Dulwich in this game. They've not played well. Their attacking threat has been pretty weak, but they have relied on 4 really good saves.
Could be that old cliche of just get to half-time, regroup in the dressing room, hatch a plan, go again. Gavin Rose is cutting an animated figure on the dugouts in front of us. He's been barking a lot at Clunis, Sanchez, Ming and Reece Alassani in particular. Haven't been able to hear quite why, as speculative ball forward from Billericay heads out for a goal kick. Half-time is just starting to come into view here at the AGP Arena. I make it that we're what? I must say, I didn't actually catch the exact time that we kicked off, which would have been helpful. We'll make sure to do that for the second half, but we kicked off at 10-2, then I approximate that we're what? Half an hour in?
Yeah.
31 minutes
30
in.
30 minutes in.
Maybe I've been a little too eager in anticipating that one. Here's a dive, skews his goal kick right the way towards us, thuds on the dugout. It's fair to say the Billericay fans enjoyed that one.
Adai did see the funny side of it himself, and he waved to the crowd.
I think when you're an away keeper in an intimidating away ground like this, you're kind of better off having a smile and a wave with the fans than winding them up. I don't
Fully agree.
I think it's definitely the way to play it. But the culmination of that is that Billericay are 1-0 up, and Josh Urquhart has this throw down the left. It's long, looking for Cunnington. Cunnington flicks it on. Shot side netting from Sam Deering. And eventually, when realising it was the side netting, there was a delayed Olay sarcastic cheer from the Dulwich Hamlet fans at the far end of the ground. I can't help but think here, as Ivan Clunis is having a very animated chat with Gavin Rose in front of us, with the goal kick set to be taken. Could this come back to haunt Billericay Town? They've been all over this game. They've been much the better side, but they're only 1-0 up, Jez.
Well, these things happen in football. Billericay are going for a long ball, a little flicked header from Adam Cunnington, and see what happens. But it's not over yet.
It certainly isn't over, and with a 1-goal margin in it, Dulwich have to keep telling themselves that if they can just raise their performance levels, they've got a chance to get back into this. But right now, Billericay still chasing a second. Modeste puts it in. Robinson, the dangerous Robinson, isn't fully dealt with, and Modeste gets another chance to cross, headed away by a pink shirt, but it's relentless pressure from Billericay. Set by Waldron for Modeste to cross again. Modeste has had the beating of Abrahams all night, but for once Abrahams manages to win the duel, stops the cross without fouling the experienced winger, but at the expense of the corner. And we've seen how dangerous set pieces have been so far tonight.
Well, the big men are coming up again, and we know where this will be delivered. It's the flick-ons, and I think Billericay are quicker to the second ball.
They have been so far, and I think the other thing to say is, it's going to sound simplistic, but Billericay seem to have more taller players. I mean, you've got the two number 5s there standing next to each other, Rob Swain and Ricky Hales, and Swain is a good head taller, which certainly helps from aerial set pieces, and that's just one example. It is towards Swain. Swain heads it down, Cardbo hacks it away towards Reece Alassani. Alassani, whose striker who loves nothing more than to run with the ball at his feet, and the conditions tonight don't exactly suit that. But he's got on the ball now, sets it back to Carew. Carew, urged to be pressured by the home fans. There is good pressure from Billericay. It's hoisted towards Dipo Akinyemi. Comes back for Alassani. Dulwich on halfway, seeking an equaliser in the latter part of the first half. Is Sanchez Ming on the right touchline. Ming slides down the line for Nyman Cludies. That's a promising ball forward, and it's been given as a free kick for Billericay Town, which I must say I'm not exactly sure how that decision was reached, because it looked to me like Rob Swain had got himself on the wrong side of Cludies. Both players went down. I'm not sure whether our referee for tonight, Steve Hughes, maybe feels Cludies dived. A booking hasn't come out to either player, and Alan Julian will take the free kick on the edge of the box.
Well, the Dulwich player was surprised by that decision.
Well, he was. I mean, how did you see it? I thought, I wasn't entirely sure, but
I thought it was a foul, actually. I thought that he was committed to the ball. He looked like he was getting the wrong side of him, and I think the defender took him out.
Yeah, peculiar decision, I must say. And I'm not someone coming into this game with any affliction, particularly either way, pink or blue. As the attack for Billericay Town comes to nothing, it will be a goal kick to Courier Dye. And I must say, of all the things that Dulwich Hamlet must be thinking of, and Gavin Rose in particular addressing at half-time, one has got to be stopping the supply line to Adam Cunnington. Either that or managing to win the aerial battle, because he's dominating that against the centre-halves, Hales, Taylor and Weatherstone. And as the long throw comes towards Cunnington now, and as if to illustrate my point, he wins the flick on, and then the ball comes back to him. It's a bad tackle from Sanchez Ming, and I think that will be our first booking of the night, and I can totally understand why. It was from behind, it wasn't a red, but I think that was a clear as day yellow on Cunnington, who was drifting towards goal from the inside left flank. He's been at the centre of everything good that Billericay Town have done tonight, and I think he has put the Dulwich player into the book. We're just going to wait for confirmation. Ming is doing that thing where you readjust your socks and your shin pads in the hope of looking up and avoiding the fate of the yellow card, that the referee might have some kind of memory disease and forget to give you one, but alas, Steve Hughes is far too experienced for that, and the yellow card does come out against me.
I think it was a fairly cynical tackle. He saw the player going away from him and had one option. He took one for the team, but there's a free kick in a dangerous area now. What will they do with this?
Danny Waldron over it, as is Sam Deering. It looks like it's being left for the right foot of Waldron. Waldron, who's been one of the key members of this Billericay side this season. One of 5 players to have already played 45 games this season or more. In comes the free kick, straight to the die, who does his job. Wasn't really clear there to me whether Danny Waldron was trying to shoot over the free-man rule or cross, Jez.
I think it wasn't clear. Sometimes you can put the ball in a dangerous area and the goalkeeper's deceived by players running in and not touching it. But it was straight. I don't think he had to move to save it.
Certainly didn't, as a die goes long and direct, headed away by Urquhart. And there's a vociferous challenge between the two number 8s, Waldron and Carew. It's Billericay Town who win it. At the moment it seems like the home side of the team winning those little 50-50 balls. And that's probably why they're in the lead. They get themselves a corner, or it is actually a throw-in, right level with the edge of the corner flag, and it's taken quickly. Modesh shoots left-footed, blocked, comes back to Butcher. Butcher sets it for the cross to come in from Waldron. Nobody there over the head of everyone, and out for a goal kick. But nervous times for those of a Dulwich Hamlet disposition. It's first versus third. First to deservedly winning so far, and they would extend their lead at the top, albeit Margate, who are in second, are in action away to Leiston. Formidable home record as well for Billericay, it must be said. They lost on the opening day of the season 1-0 to Kingstonian. Since then have won 11 and drawn 2, which, even if you're Manchester City at the moment at the very top end of the English football pyramid, is not bad by their high standards.
Very good.
Here's Sanchez Ming. Ming slides it in towards Clunis. Dulwich Hamlet chasing a response. Clunis clips it over the top looking for Ming. And it's hooked into touch by Waldron, so Dulwich Hamlet will have a throw in down the right flank level with the edge of the area.
Well, Dulwich need to make something happen, don't they? They need to get a better ball into the strikers. They need to at least have a shot on target.
Trying that now. Into the box, set back for Cargbo on the edge, plenty of power on the shot, but the direction was severely lacking. He did also have the sliding tackle of Dean Inman, the goal scorer, and Billericay captain, coming in to distract him, and went well wide, just shaped away and never close, to be perfectly honest with you. Alan Julian will take the goal kick.
It was a shot, but nowhere near on target.
No, thanks for that. We didn't really need Opta for that one, Jez. much appreciated. I think it's fair to say that it was closer to the advertising hoardings just above the corrugated roof stand, which is housing 100 or so Dulwich fans singing behind it, than it was to actually damaging the uprights or the net of the goal. As Ricky Modeste is released through the middle, it's Modeste against Weatherstone. Weatherstone just about wins the race and then clears it into touch. And Dulwich Hamlet, I would argue, inviting pressure on themselves quite often. This two-man up-front system, I know that Gavin Rose likes it because it pulls opposition defenders away, but surely when you're under this much pressure, Jez, you'd want all hands to the pump, and they're leaving Akinyemi and Alassani consistently on halfway. It's very much the Dulwich way to attack, but they're 1-0 down at the league leaders.
It's a surprise because the pitch tonight may not favour them, and they're struggling at the back. There's a series of chances, and there's another one going to come now, I think.
Long throw in from Urquhart, but it's headed away by a combination of Clunis and Weatherstone. And now here is Clunis, who's chased onto a long ball that's followed. Clunis down the inside left, chasing in towards the penalty area. He's got 4 picked shots, chooses to go it alone, shoots, blocked. Bit of a selfish decision in truth, if you're being harsh. But then again, Myron Clunis is the kind of player who can pull something spectacular out of the proverbial bag. His Cargbo finds Alassani down the inside left. Suddenly the AGP Arena goes a bit quiet with nerves, but just as I say that, ball through to Alassani has too much on it. And that has really characterised Dulwich Hamlet in an attacking sense in this half, Jez. As soon as they manage to get their triangles going in 3 or 4 passes, one's gone astray, and Billericay have breathed a sigh of relief.
Was that their best passing sequence in the final third there? They had at least 5 passes there, but
5 or 6. It's as good as any I can remember, and that probably says a lot given the fact that we're talking about a side who normally are so free, scoring 63 goals in 33 games this season, albeit that's nothing compared to Billericay, but Billericay are on another level really. 77 goals, so 10 more goals, 14 more goals, than Dulwich Hamlet, having played 4 games less. They really have been dominant in this division this season. They've only lost 4 games all season, and 3 of those have been their last 3 matches. It's been astonishing stuff. And they're looking to get back on track tonight. They're making a very good job of it so far. We're now at 8:30, which means we're approximately 40 minutes into this one. And half-time is starting to creep up on us. Ball in towards the far post, too much on it from Cunnington. And well, when the luck isn't with you and it's a difficult away trip, those little things go against you. It hits the boot of Mark Weatherstone and goes out for a corner, and that is the last thing the away side will want. Billericay Town will be smelling blood here. They'll see this as a great chance to go 2-0 up just before the break. Corner to come in, right-footed, in swinging. I believe it's Sam Deering over there to take it. Dulwich Hamlet leading 3 players up again from the set piece. Billericay Town putting 4 players of their own back to deal with things, which means it's quite an unusual situation, Jez. An empty penalty box, or a relatively empty one, as the referee deals with some handbags.
Dulwich have got 3 players up front, which once again is surprising. It must be a clear tactic of theirs to try and keep the defenders at bay.
More often they do it because they feel like it helps them offer a threat on the counter-attack. But on a night like this where set pieces are proving so difficult to defend, there's clearly an argument that you just bring everybody back. Corner to come in right-footed, in swinging from Deering into the 6-yard box, palmed away well by the tall Corey Adai, who's next to the half. Shot from distance by Robinson. It's straight at Adai. Either side of him, there could have been a problem with the power on it. Adai goes for the quick break, and this is why they leave 3 up top, because Reece Alassani has got room down the left flank. He's got 3 options in the box and more arriving. Alassani twisting and turning. The 16-goal man this season. Sets it back for the cross into the far post, and Dulwich Hamlet have levelled right on the stroke of half time. They probably don't deserve it, but I can tell you that they definitely do not care. Dippo Akinyemi scores. It's poor defending from Billericay Town. It's the only significant attack that the away side have had all half. The air horns and the away fans celebrate away to our right. It's Dippo Akinyemi on the score sheet. We were questioning why Dulwich Hamlet left 3 up, Jez. Well, we probably just realised why neither of us are professional football managers and Gavin Rose is. It's Billericay Town 1, Dulwich Hamlet 1.
Very simple goal. Just get the ball to the back stick, and there was an attacker there who can get it in. So not a complicated goal. It didn't involve a lot of passing and movement, but the player was committed, and they're all even now. That's probably eight chances to 1, and they've converted their 1.
I was going to say, Optijez, do you have the stop shots and shots on target stats? But I don't think, quite honestly, you need them to tell you what you've just seen with your own eyes, which is Billericay Town dominate a half of football, but only be 1-0 up. And suddenly the coaching team for Billericay of Tamplin and Wheeler are very animated on the touchline. Sanchez Ming wins a free kick in the right back position, and Sanchez Ming is getting a bit of, how should I put it, advice from the Billericay Town fans after moaning about being fouled by Sam Deering. I don't think it was friendly chats about where his dinner reservation will be after this game, James.
I think you'd say it was a slightly clumsy challenge, would be a generous way of putting it.
And Ming was not happy about it. And suddenly, after a intimidating and difficult half of football for Dulwich Hamlet, it's only the away fans you can hear singing, and they must know that they've got out of jail here as a long ball towards the goal scorer Akinyemi is chested down, but he's offside. Just going back to the goal, it was very ironic in a way that, albeit they showed good pace on the counter, the actual way it happened was a cross and a header, as you pointed out.
Yep.
Exactly what Billericay have been doing to Dulwich Hamlet for the last 40 minutes or so. The proverbial sucker punch.
In fact, the first, the goalkeeper then, he hadn't actually had a save to make before, had he?
Alan Julian could have pitched a tent and had a cup of coffee for most of that first half, but he's also had to pick the ball out of his net. Long ball towards Alassani on halfway. We'll have 1 minute of stoppage time added on at the end of this first half. Ball's at the feet of Quade Taylor for Dulwich Hamlet inside his own half. Plays it long towards Akinyemi, headed away by Dean Inman. And now here's Wheeler. Weatherstone heads it clear. Gavin Rose is appealing for a foul, and it is given. So it will be a free kick to Dulwich Hamlet in the right back position with time running out at the end of this first half. And what a crucial goal that could be from Akinyemi to swing the momentum of this match. Dulwich Hamlet coming into this game having played 4 games more than Billericay Town and 2 points behind them. So realistically, if we're going to have a title race this season as opposed to Billericay running away with it, then they probably need to be winning this game.
Additional time.
Confirmation on the tannoy, 1 minute added on. Margate, of course, sandwiched in between these two, but they've played 3 games more than Dulwich and 6 games more than Billericay, so one would still expect that it will be difficult for them to get involved in the race for the title. Of course, for those maybe unfamiliar with this level of football, just one goes up automatically, I should say. And the playoffs are 2nd versus 5th, 3rd versus 4th, and the final is not played on neutral ground. It's played at the ground of the team that finishes higher in the league. So there really is something to play for, even if Dulwich fans think the title is gone, to finish in 2nd place. The half-time whistle goes. Billericay Town 1, Dulwich Hamlet 1. The home side have absolutely dominated that half of football. They took the lead early on, deservedly so after a couple of good saves from Corey Adai. Dean Inman with the header from a long throw, which went in, the captain getting himself on the score sheet. And then the pressure continued. We said that they might regret not taking these chances. Sam Deering hit the side netting. Corey Adai made 4 or 5 decent saves. And right on the brink of the half-time whistle, Dippo Akinyemi headed in from a cross, which I believe came from Tanashe Abrahams, the left wing back. Jez, your thoughts on that first half, which has ended Billericay Town 1, Dulwich Hamlet 1?
Well, Dulwich will go in the happier team. They really weren't expecting to go in level. They had one attempt on target and scored from it, so they'll be very pleased with that. I think, as you say, Billericay, I think they adapted well to the conditions. They made a lot of chances. If it wasn't for a die, I think they'd be 4 or 5 up. But it hasn't gone that way, and they're going to have to start again in the second half.
And just how much of a crucial momentum swing do you think that Akinyemi goal could be? Not just for this game, but maybe, just maybe, in the title race.
Momentum's everything in both in the game and in the title race. And once a run carries on, you can see the doubt starts to creep into players' minds then. And confidence is such an important factor. And confidence takes a long time to gain, but you can lose it quite quickly. And you can see what's going through these players' minds now.
Particularly difficult when you've lost your last 3 on the road and are coming back home trying to take control again. We are going to keep the stream running just for ease of the fact that there's no need to stop and restart, because the 9 or so of you that have kindly stuck with us won't have to go and find the new one. But we'll be taking a quick break for half time. We'll keep it running. Apologies for any possibly offensive language you might pick up from maybe any disgruntled spectators around us or anything like that. We of course can't be responsible for everything on our output apart from what we say, as Faithless Insomnia plays out at half time. We will be back with you for the second half in not too long. I'd say in about 10 minutes or so. Thank you very much for being with us. In the meantime, as I said before, please do give this link a tweet out on @BTFC, which is Billericay Town's account, or @Dulwich Hamlet FC, to alert anybody maybe not at the game tonight that they can get, I was going to say professional, but in the most sarcastic way, level radio commentary coverage of this game. Joking aside, we've got a fantastic second half on our hands. Please do be with us in 10 minutes or so for it. Right, we are all set and underway for the start of the second half. I'm just quickly dealing with giving us another plug on Twitter, but the players have rushed out all of a sudden, looked up and blinked, and there they were. So we will be bringing you coverage of the second half of this one, attacking from right to left this time, Dulwich Hamlet, left to right, Billericay Town, and as the players settle onto their thoughts and what they've got to do for this second half on the pitch, the spectators take their seats off it. Heads out into touch early on. Dulwich Hamlet switching off a bit, and Billericay... Oh no, pardon me, it is the other way round. Teams have swapped around at half-time. Bit of incompetence from me, my apologies. We will do our best to spot the pink Dulwich players from the blue Billericay Town players. And it's going to be a corner, right-footed, in-swinging from Ashley Carew. Welcome back to my summariser, Gerald Clesham.
Thanks very much, Michael. Well, as I said, what will happen in the second half? Will Billericay be more adventurous?
Well, they were pretty adventurous in the first half, so you could argue they just didn't kill Dulwich off. As corner in towards the near post, headed clear, ends up at the feet of Nyman Clunis, but Clunis only missed kicks, and Dulwich have to go all the way back to their custodian for the night, Corey Adai. Adai looks up, can't quite find his intended target, and it falls luckily for Dulwich Hamlet point of view, pardon me, to the feet of Cargbo. Played forward, but all over the bar and out for a goal kick. Both teams just settling into their rhythm in this second half. And you can hear the Dulwich Hamlet fans in fine voice to my left. Thank you very much to the 14 people who are with us for this one. We've nearly doubled our listenership from the first half, so much appreciated to everyone on social media who's been busy sharing the link. So we've got an interesting few tweets coming in as Adam Cunnington flicks on this goal kick. It goes out from the box. Stephen Desmond says, can you please influence the referee from the stands and get 3 Billericay Town players sent off in the second half? I think he's misunderstood the memo that Sport FM commentators are strictly neutral. And we don't condone match fixing of any kind. I can only speak for myself, Jez, but I assume you're the same on that stance.
Those allegations are completely false.
Well, channeling your inner certain Wigo vibe there. That is quite a subject to open up at the start of the second half of football
I was
commentary.
about to say it was interesting seeing one of the players come across and have an inhaler in the middle of the game. I didn't realise that asthma in sport is a big area. Paul Scholes was a famous asthmatic, and it appears to be compulsory for cyclists.
I think it's important to confirm that Sam Deering for Billericay Town nor Paul Scholes for Manchester United have not been involved in any TUE-related incidents before we do get a threat of libel coming through. That is not something that we particularly want here on Sport FM. There's a bit of a scrap on the halfway line, ends with Dulwich Hamlet winning a free kick. They'll look to put the pressure on Billericay Town in this second half. Another tweet in saying, loving the commentary, keep up the good work, come on Billericay. Like to try and even things out where we can if possible. Listeners from both sides of the divide between these two. Divide, of course, both of them chasing this one automatic promotion slot that looks very likely to go towards Billericay at this stage, but Dulwich Hamlet will still have something to say about that yet. Another Dulwich fan says, sounds like a dribble of a performance, but excellent commentary. Thank few for the equaliser, hoping for a big shift in momentum in the second half. Well, we did speak about that, how that could well be the case, Jez.
It could be, yes, it could be.
Dulwich have made a better start to this
early
parts of the second half than they did the first.
They've had more time in the Billericay half than they had probably in a lot of the first half.
I think if we're being polite, though, pardon me, if we're being honest rather than being polite, they couldn't have made much of a worse start, because by this point in the first half, Corey and I had already had to make a couple of point-blank saves to keep the score at 0-0. 1-1 here now. Dulwich Hamlet have the ball over on the far side from us. Good thumping tackle from Danny Waldron. It's a throw into Dulwich down the right, just inside their own half.
Man and ball.
Yes, old school. And it was nice to see that it was more than tolerated by our referee, Steve Hughes. It's the kind of challenge that sometimes these days can irk a referee in one way or another. Now, Dulwich Hamlet trying to create something, and Reece Alasani is chopped down by Ricky Modeste. There's some Billericay fans around me in this stand, and I'm not trying to pick a fight with them because I'm very much neutral when it comes to tonight's game, but I must say I'm shocked as to how people can feel like that was anything else than a clear foul. Alasani chopped down, and Ashley Carew will have a free kick from just in from the left touchline, which he'll take right-footed in swinging, not shooting range at all. Carew can be dangerous from the set pieces, but he will be looking to whip one in for the 6 pink shirts. Jez, your view on that?
I think it was a clear foul, and you have to think he's never going to get the ball, and I don't think there's any dispute on it.
One of those that maybe when the momentum's going against you and side are battling their way back into it like Dulwich is, even the slightest thing frustrates you. Here's Nyron Clunish. Clunish using his pace to try and cross from the right, wins a throw-in, level with the corner flag. In fact, he doesn't. It must have just flicked off him.
Just deflected off him.
Unfortunate. But it's a much better start to the second half from Dulwich Hamlet, and you can feel around the AGP arena for the first time tonight a bit of nerves.
Is this squeaky bum time that people used to refer to?
I say that in credit to the Billericay fans, who, one of the things I love about non-league is you can swap 180 degrees at half-time, so they're now way to our right, the vocal ones, trying to suck the ball into the goal to our right in this second half. They are making a racket and trying to get behind their team, but they must be a bit unnerved because Dulwich Hamlet are starting to find their rhythm here. It's Cardbow. Just as I say, that curse of the commentator, he gives it away to Modeste, and then a late tackle from Ibrahim Cardbow. He was nowhere near the ball. He is wagging his finger at the referee. This is a big moment in the game. The Billericay fans want him sent off. I must say, I didn't think it was a straight red, but I think he'll be very lucky to not go in the book. Yes, he does go in the referee's book, and I don't think he can have any complaint about that. He really was finger-wagging to try and get his way out of it. It was like watching a West End theatre production, Jess. It was quite something.
I think he knew what he was doing.
In the challenge or the referee?
Both, actually, but more importantly in the tackle, because there was a burst of pace going past him, and he took one for the team.
It was a bit of a take one for the team yellow card. It had that kind of vibe about it. And as this game continues, Billericay Town have the free kick and a chance to pump it into the box. Urquhart sends it long. It is flicked on, and Coriadai is equal to the effort, so it stays 1-1. Thank you very much to everyone who's with us, joining us for this one. We're up to 16. Maybe we can break the 20 barrier by the end of the night. We've also got, more importantly, on the pitch, Dulwich Hamlet keeping possession again nicely. Something I can't remember saying at all, really, in the first half. Is Abrahams. Slides it in for Alassani. Alassani getting some stick from the home fans. You feel like he dived for that foul a few minutes ago. Whips in a lovely cross. It's headed clear by Inman, the goal scorer for Billericay. And then Dulwich win a throw deep in Billericay territory down the left flank. Carew takes it short. And we have got a change being made. It's a man who needs no introduction to me as a Cambridge boy who went to watch Cambridge United a fair few times back when I was living there until a few years ago. The versatile, tall, dependable, hard-working unit that is Liam Hughes. And in case you can't tell from the tannoy that I am fighting, with approximately an hour gone in this game, Sam Deering comes off. It's certainly a change in height, if anything else, which I think in regard to the set pieces could be very useful. Liam Hughes is a solid 2 heads taller than Sam Deering, to use our sort of unofficial measuring, Jez.
Sam Deering had played well in the first half, though. He was involved in a lot of the moves that were going forward. So we'll see how Liam Hughes takes on then. But it does give them more of an aerial threat, and you just think this could be what will decide the game in the end.
Of course, both goals have been from headers. There's a thumping tackle between Abraham and Liam Hughes, having just come on, gives Dulwich a throw-in just inside their own half down the left. Hughes, one of many Billericay Town players with extensive experience in the Vanarama Conference, as it's now known, and also Sky Bet League 2, if we're going to be consistent with giving every sponsor their due plug. There's Weatherstone at the back for Dulwich. 1-1 here. And the men in pink are starting to find their momentum just a bit. It's an intriguing stage in this game. Throw into Dulwich down the right flank, just inside the Billericay half, to be taken by Carew. Looks for his options short, can't find any that he likes. Just holds onto the ball for a second longer. Eventually does put it in, and then the ball comes across for Alassani. Excellent piece of defending. Absolutely superb from Joe Kizzy. It looked like Reece Alassani was going to make it 2-1 there. He's also injured his lower back in the process, which, given he's Dulwich's top scorer this season, will really worry any Hamlet fans listening to this. The physio is charging on. And, well, people talk about footballers diving, but this is absolutely the opposite case of that. Alassani looks in real pain, and it is, in fact, also a goal kick, so it clearly came last off the Dulwich striker.
I think it looked like it was going to be a tap-in, but Kizzy did well and got his body in the way there and saved what looked like a certain goal.
Well, so often you see that covering fullback from the right-back position with a cross coming from the defence's left, coming across and only succeeding, if they can get there, in conceding a penalty and a red card by tackling someone, if they can get there. Stretcher on for Alassani, by the way. And not only did he get there, make the clean challenge, albeit hurting Alassani in the process, he actually won the goal kick as well for his team. Worrying situation. Glenn Tamplin urging his players to come away from the situation. I think Glenn Tamplin wants to use this as an opportunity to pass on some instructions to his players. Maybe not happy with the start he's seen from them in this second half, Ches, because it's almost been a role reversal of the first half, maybe without Dulwich Hamlet creating the clear-cut chances to go with the pressure.
He's not happy, and he's calling all the players over. He doesn't want them distracted by the injury. He does want to use this time to instruct them.
He's gone for a full huddle here. He's got all 11 in there. It's almost like something you see pre-match, and Dulwich Hamlet are doing the same, in fairness, eventually. but it was very much Tamplin's idea first, if you want to talk about it like it's the kid in the schoolyard with who thought of it first. The stretcher is coming out for Alassani. Well, it's already out, I should say, and is being laid out. This is really horrible to see, no matter whether you're a Billericay fan, a Dulwich fan, or a neutral like myself, appreciating two high-quality teams gunning for promotion with a great crowd here at the AGP Arena. This is really horrible. Huge credit to Alan Julian, who, although Glenn Tamplin has had a huddle with his outfield players, Julian, who was closest to the incident and will have seen it right in front of him, has taken extra time to make sure Alassani's okay. And there's also, I think, some members of the Billericay physio team who've gone in there to check on Alassani, which is the kind of thing we want to see. Gavin Rose is now taking his turn to have a word with his troops.
One thing you see with injuries is when the player doesn't move at all. You know, there's no rolling around here, but I hope he's all right. He's played really well tonight, actually, in full of movement, but it was very disappointing if he's got a serious injury out of that.
Well, we've got 4 paramedics around him now. Reece Alassani, Dulwich's top scorer this season with 16 goals, and he wasn't even there at the start of the season, signed in the autumn after a broken leg meant that he was released by Crystal Palace at a time. Well, I say that. There was a time where he was given a huge youth contract by Crystal Palace and was seen as their next promising player. He could have easily left in January for a variety of Football League clubs, chose to stick it out with Dulwich Hamlet until the end of the season, possibly in an attempt to fire Hamlet to promotion, but it looks like, I'm no doctor, but I think this could be the end of his season, and not in a way that anyone would want it to end, apart from maybe the most cynical of Billericay Town fans, because this doesn't just look like an ordinary injury that would end a player's game. This could be something really serious with his back, and you can hear how it's all gone very quiet here at the AGP, Jez.
It's very disappointing to see this. There's a number of paramedics from both teams there. There's the stretcher on. Clearly this is not a minor injury that is an easy thing to deal with.
We've had a raucous atmosphere here tonight. Thank you very much as well. I've just checked as we were about to say, please do give us a plug on the hashtags BTFC and DHFC, at BTFC and at Dulwich Hamlet FC, to let people know that they can get coverage of this game as it happens with us here on Sport FN. I'm Michael McCann, joined by my co-commentator Gerald Clesham. Do give me a follow as well while we're on the shameless plugs at This Is McCann. And if you've got any particular questions or maybe things that we're missing or something you'd like to ask us about what we're seeing in front of us, you can tweet us on at This Is McCann. But coming back to what's happening in front of us, it looks like the game is being suspended, at least for now. Both teams are heading off towards the dressing rooms with the score 1-1 after about 3/4 of the match. I make it that we're into about the 66th minute. This injury has been going on for the last 5 minutes or so. Reece Alassani is not in view to me at the moment because his view is blocked by paramedics. The referees are having a chat about what will happen with them, and I think we're looking at an ambulance situation, Jez.
It does look like that. I think it's a wise thing to get the players off the pitch if there's going to be a clear delay like this. It's a cold night, and this is where people do get injured. But it'd be really sad if he does have a serious injury that's arisen from this.
Well, going back to what we said about VAR before, we saw that the other week with the Spurs-Rochdale game where you had players, Danny Rose said it, 4 minutes of standing around in the snow in -4 isn't a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think the problem with VAR seemed to be that the crowd are disengaged from it. In other words, there seemed to be a process going on. If the crowd know what's going on in the same way that you have the golden camera in Wimbledon and things, it's one thing, but no one really knew what was going on, and it doesn't help the run of the game then. Looks like we've got another stretcher coming onto the pitch now. I know there was one brought on earlier, but it looks like another stretcher coming on, so we don't really know what's going on here.
No, it's quite hard to tell. We're a long way from the incident, but I don't think you need to be particularly close to it to know that it's pretty horrible. There's a bit of noise now being made by some Billericay fans on the far side of the ground from us in support of their team, but aside from that it's been very quiet, and it's been quiet with apprehension from people of both allegiances, I think it's fair to say as well, as to the faith of this exciting young player, Reece Alassani, who had a hand in the first goal with his break on the counter-attack. there isn't really that much more to say for now. Paramedics are still around Alassani. Alan Julian is the only player left on the pitch. He's having a chat with a couple of the Dulwich Hamlet players. Now Alan Julian is heading off as well, so we've got an extended stoppage here. Just to take you back through what's happened, Dean Inman gave Billericay Town lead with a header in the 11th minute, and then right on the stroke of half-time, undeservedly given the run of play, Dulwich Hamlet had the equaliser through Dipo Akinyemi, the striker heading in at the far post. Here's an announcement. There we go, so confirmation that we will have play back for you shortly, but not for now, given the treatment that is going on to Reece Alassani. And until then, there's not necessarily that much that we can say, apart from our thoughts go out to Reece Alassani. He certainly hasn't died, but looks in some real discomfort, and of all the places to injure, I did notice him immediately clutched his lower back, which I'm lucky to not be at an age where I've had to put up with that yet, but I'm sure given your time in the medical profession you can give us a bit of an insight, Jez. It's not a nice area to have a problem with as a professional athlete in particular.
And we all remember the challenge against Neymar in the World Cup where he actually broke a vertebra when someone challenged him. I said, it looks like he's on a stretcher now, and I'd imagine that they'd be looking to move him off now and take him to a hospital now.
As someone who is an expert in the medical profession, albeit cardiology is your primary part of it, what would you be looking to do now with someone in Alassani's state, assuming that it is a bad back problem, as he is going to come off shortly, I'd imagine, to a round of applause from everyone involved?
I'd hope so, but the first thing is whether he's had some form of fracture, and as I said, they are moving him very slowly here now, so they're obviously wary of what's happened.
This is really not nice to watch.
But this is, I think we all get used to the time it takes to take a player off, but this is being done very, very slowly and methodically.
And I think that's because they're wary of making it worse, I'd assume.
That's always one of their hazards, and clearly if he's in agony and if he does have a serious injury, of the discomfort of actually moving him now.
Confirmation as well, ironically given to me by someone who's not at the game. We hadn't heard it announced here. 988, Billericay Town's highest home crowd of the season for a midweek game, bar Boxing Day. Plenty of Dulwich fans in adding to that figure. Applause for Alassani as he comes off. Really unpleasant situation, being hauled off by 5 or 6. The 16-goal man takes his leave, and I don't think it's any over-exaggeration given how superb he's been for Dulwich Hamlet this season to say that as he leaves the pitch, that's a big slice of Dulwich Hamlet's promotion hopes that have maybe walked off with him, because he's been such a big reason that they are even in with a slight hope of the title after 2/3 of this season. His goals and what he's brought to this team as well as an all-round player. He comes down in front of us. It really doesn't look good, I have to say. He's not moving at all. I know he's on a stretcher, but you take my point in terms of there's no visible movement of the player. He was conscious when it happened. I could see him clutching his lower back. And he certainly is conscious, but he's not moving. Or you sometimes do see players in that stretcher situation putting their hands up with a thumbs up or something to give a sign of I'm not too bad. And
they may have told him not to move, actually. That's another possibility.
That's very true. And the players are back out onto the pitch. Well, this is a very peculiar situation. Gavin Rose has now got his outfield players in a huddle, and Corey Adai. It's almost like another match. Not quite, but it's a really difficult mental situation for these players to deal with now. And how do you think they approach that, Jez? Dulwich Hamlet are back out. Billericay will be out shortly, I'd expect.
What's going through their minds now? Is it a serious injury? What's happened to him? Hopefully they may have spoken to him on the way out, and he may have said how he feels or how it is. But we've seen before how disruptive it can be for other players to see an injury. I think the worst thing are broken legs and fractures. When players see that, they're often very upset afterwards, and it does knock them off their stride. But they just have to shut this out of their mind now, and they have to remember there's a game with 30 minutes to go.
Certainly is a game with 30 minutes to go. The Dulwich Hamlet players are back out warming up. It's a very strange scene. The Billericay Town players haven't yet re-emerged. They have now, as you can probably tell by the loud cheers to my right-hand side. They come out in all dark blue. And we should be all set to get back underway relatively soon, after what has been an unwanted stoppage for a horrible reason. And it's now a case, as much as anything else, as to which team can adjust better to that stoppage. I must say, unfortunately, because of having the phone in operation from MixLR and forgetting to do it on my co-commentator's phone, we don't actually have the exact length of that stoppage, but I'd make it around 10 minutes or so. I think we're in for quite a long night here, and I actually reckon we've got at least 25 minutes left on the clock when we include the stoppages, if not a bit more. We were in the early stages of the first half. Thank you very much to the 26 listeners who have stayed with us through that horrible stoppage. Billericay Town are now out as well, and they're going through warm-ups, which must be quite a curious thing to be doing 3/4 of the way through a game when you're in your kit, and this goes for both teams, just covered in mud.
Well, the other thing then is if you get cold, and then you're liable to get injuries. So this aspect is really important for the players.
Absolutely.
Pulled muscles can keep players out for 3 to 4 weeks or so. So this is really important that they're adequately prepared now. And I think the refereeing group did the right thing getting off the pitch if there's clearly going to be a 10-minute delay in the cold weather.
Couldn't agree more. As we do look set to get underway now. Both teams are broken from their warm-ups. The referee is headed back out. Steve Hughes, Alex Bradley and Anthony Andrews, the linesmen, have headed to their respective places. Just to remind you of the overall situation in the league, Billericay Town coming into tonight with 67 points from 29 games, still projected to reach 100 plus points this season if they can repeat their form in the last third of the season as they have done in the first 2/3 of it, but that's very much easier said than done, as it's confirmation that Reece Alassani has of course come off, but it's the man who would replace him that is of interest, because Dulwich have got a few different attacking options on the bench, and they've brought on number 17, which our team sheets don't have a number 17, which is useful, but if I can catch a glimpse of him, I might well be able to get who that is. What we can tell you as well is that it's in fact a double change, and that Ashley Carew, I believe, has exited the stage. Yes, Ashley Carew has gone off.
For Nathan Ferguson.
Correct. Thank you very much to my co-commentator for having better eyes on things than me. Ferguson, a more attacking-minded player than Carew, so that is without doubt an attacking-minded change. Ferguson likes to push higher up the pitch, but that will leave space in behind. The goal kick is now taken by Alan Julian, which the goal kick, of course, resulting in an excellent challenge by Joe Kizzy on Reece Alassani. And I say excellent, certainly not in a cynical way because of causing the injury. It just was, by matter of fact, positionally, actually, an excellent challenge that dealt with what looked like a near tackle. Confirmation of the substitution.
Reece Alassani being replaced by number 16, Nathan Ferguson.
Well, they've confirmed one of the changes. I thought I saw 16 and 17 go on there.
Yeah.
So we know Nathan Ferguson is number 16, but our team sheet for Dulwich Hamlet tonight doesn't tell us who 17 is. I think, just from what I've seen, it's Mamadou Fall, but we'll need to go back and confirm that where possible. And apologies for our confusion over that. I believe it is Mamadou Fall. Certainly fits the profile of him. A tall midfielder with an afro to match as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they reorganise after this situation. Dulwich Hamlet with a double change, but they've got the ball. They've given it away though. Now it's hoofed forward towards the feet of Ricky Modeste down the right. Modeste sets it back for Kizzy. Kizzy clips it in towards Robinson. Can't win the flick on. Bit of miscommunication from Dulwich Hamlet mean that two pink shirted players leave the ball, which allows Billericay to put in a dangerous cross, collected by Adai.
Well, the game's restarted, and we'll just see what pattern develops. But Billericay on the attack, looking to get the long ball in again, but no joy this time.
From a Dulwich Hamlet point of view, I'm sure they'll have been really disappointed by that stoppage, not just because of the obvious injury to their star striker, but because they had the momentum in the game. But they've got the ball here. Akinyemi, the goal scorer, crosses, in fact goes to the shot, really well saved by Alan Julian. It was not too far from him, but it was hit pretty fiercely, and he tipped it over the bar with two strong hands. But Dulwich Hamlet seeming to be picking up where they left off. It's 1-1, 3/4 of the way through this one. Corner will come in from the far side to be taken by the diminutive Nathan Ferguson, right-footed, out-swinging. Everybody back for Billericay Town bar one, and two Dulwich Hamlet players left to deal with that one player. Ferguson puts it towards Cargbo on the edge of the box. Cargbo loses out. Bit of a waste of a corner routine from the away side's point of view. Headed up, flicked on by Cargbo. It's a bit messy from both teams. Now it's towards Akinyemi in the channel. Kizzy hacks it away, and it falls off Mamadou Fowl's boot, out for a touch. Bit of composure needed.
I think so.
It's Kizzy to take the throw in. Looks for the flick on from Cunnington. Mamadou Fowl wins it. Ends up at the feet of Ferguson. Ferguson clips one over the top for Clunis to chase. And then there's appeals for a foul in midfield. And then Cunnington goes diving. And the feeling is that Ferguson fouled him. I thought there was just the slightest clip of the heels there. And Cunnington, like any good footballer, made sure the ref knew about it.
He did make sure he dived well into the mud to get covered there. But it was a reasonable challenge for him too.
Oh, wow.
So free kick now, and the goalkeeper Julian's taking this. Once again, I think this will be a long ball again, and the players are gathering on the edge of the penalty area waiting for the delivery.
So what? Sorry, who's...
And it's been knocked on, and is it out for a throw-in? No, it's been retrieved.
I was going to say, you're channeling your rugby commentary there. I turned around and hear you talking of knock-ons. Long ball cleared, and it'll be a throw-in.
That was number 8, Ashley Gerow, coming off.
Here we go, we're getting some confirmation. A kindly gentleman next to me in our commentary perch on the halfway line has tapped me on the shoulder with resources that are not available to us of the internet, and it's great wisdom. And in fact told us that number 16 is Kenny Beanie, who's come on. He's normally a central defensive midfielder, so shows what my recognition's up to. And Nathan Ferguson, despite being down on the team sheet as 16, is wearing 17. They swapped shirts and decided not to tell anybody, which was a nightmare for a live commentator. But anyway, back with this one. Shot from distance, very ambitious one, from the number 17 for Billericay, Liam Hughes. And it's easily collected by Adai, who then bowls it out. And now it's the number 17 at the other end of the pitch, who we've now established is Nathan Ferguson. Ferguson brings it forward down the left, buccaneering run, and wins the corner. Starting to get a bit open and end-to-end.
He looked quite assured as he was coming down the left wing there. Now let's see what happens from this corner now.
Well, luckily for Nathan Ferguson and any of his family who might be listening in, we managed to establish it was him just before his excellent 40-yard run and winning the corner, which he will now take right-footed in swinging. The Dulwich fans away to my left with a few pink and blue scarves in there, and banner saying Meadow out, which doesn't need too much more explanation watching this corner come in. It's half cleared towards the edge of the box, and Billericay Town win themselves a throw-in in the right back position. Could close down by Nyron Clunis on Danny Waldron, but at the expense of a throw-in. Gavin Rose watching on. He's seen it all over the years. Dulwich Hamlet's longest serving manager. Got them promoted out of the Bostick South League, the one below this in 2012, 2013 as title winners. Since then they've perennially challenged to get out of this division. Always in the playoffs, seems, but never quite making it out. Lost in the final at Bognor Regis last year. And he's watching on as the play comes right in front of him now, with Joe Kizzy to take another throw in. Billericay have won on halfway. Flicked on, up and eventually away by Abrahams. And headed down. It's a proper game of volleyball really between both teams, and it culminates in Dulwich hooking the ball out. It will be a throw into Billericay down the right flank, level with the edge of the penalty area.
Well, it's going to and fro here, but who'll get the next chance, do you think?
Oh, what I can tell you for certain is when it happens, we'll be the ones to tell you about it. Thank you very much to everyone who's listening. We're up to 32 now. Really appreciate you all being with us. There's a cynical kick, which I think will bring a booking. The ball not in the same postcode as the Billericay man, who I'm yet to identify. Hasn't obligingly turned around to give me his shirt number. And the yellow card does come out for the as yet unnamed man for the kick on Cargbo. The man, in fact, being Callum Butcher, who gave Cargbo a kick as Cargbo was launching a counter-attack with the ball already well gone.
It wasn't very subtle, and the referee was only about 5 yards away, so I don't think he was ever going to get away with that.
Absolutely. As Dulwich Hamlet win the set piece and try and work something, but the attack breaks down. Now here's Ricky Modeste down the right flank with his long dreadlock tear trailing behind him, wins a free kick just inside his own half, given away by Tanishay Abrahams. Gavin Rose, who I just mentioned a few moments ago, is absolutely furious. Rose, who is lifelong friends with Rio Ferdinand, who, to go back to the issue we discussed pre-kickoff, has been part of that legacy group who put in the £10 million bid to try and buy the land off property developers Meadow, that land being their Champion Hill home, which of course is causing huge problems for Dulwich Hamlet at the moment, with them caught in a dispute between the council and their landlords, as all is hooked away from the set piece, dealt with well enough by Dulwich Hamlet, but then Dippo Akinyemi carelessly and needlessly really fouls Dean Inman, with Inman going absolutely nowhere. And this is a good set piece opportunity for Billericay Town, and they will take it once the addition of Billy Bricknell has been made. When you need a goal, this man is as good as anybody to bring on, I would suggest. When commentating for Billericay earlier this season, I commentated on a first half hat-trick of his in the FA Trophy, and he scored plenty in the league too. 18 goals this season despite not often starting. The man coming off one of equal goal scoring prowess, Adam Cunnington, and that just shows you the strength in depth Billericay have got.
Cunnington has won a lot of balls in the air today. He's been dominating the defence.
Do you think that's the classic? They've told him that he's going to get 60, 70 minutes, Cunnington, so he's got to run himself into the ground.
Maybe the case, maybe something to be said for that.
Cunnington comes off, Bricknell comes on. Will he get a chance to do something from this set piece? It is chested down, shot blocked. Comes out to Liam Hughes. What can Hughes make of the opportunity which is still there? They've got plenty of the big men forward from the back. It's a bit of intricate passing though from Billericay Town, which nearly picks the lock. Worked out by Callum Butcher. And then it's hacked away by the men in pink. This game becoming increasingly frenetic, and although 7:45 kickoffs normally start finishing at around 9:30, it's definitely not the case here. We've had 10 minutes or so, maybe even longer, with an injury delay after Reece Alassani was horribly stretchered off for a back injury. So this will be a late finish here at the AGP Arena tonight, but who will be nicking the 3 points? Billericay have won themselves a valuable set piece and a chance to utilise the long throw, or a corner. I must say, from our view, we actually can't quite see that corner of the ground, but the way the players are setting up, it looks like a corner.
It looks like a corner, they're setting up.
Really good set-piece opportunity for the home side. They can just show why they're the league leaders, get themselves back in front in this game. Continue this imperious home record. It is in towards Bricknell. Headed clear. Billericay try and put it back in, but now there's a break on for Dulwich Hamlet. Nyron Clunis has seen the back of one. Clunis keeps going, it's a 2-on-1. He's got a man over if he uses him. Sliding towards the far post, and it's in! Dulwich Hamlet have come from behind, and they have the lead. Drama at the AGP Arena, and against the odds and the run of play, it's Dulwich Hamlet who have the lead. Nyron Clunis slides it across. 6 or 7 players in pink going there to celebrate with their fans. I must say, I'm not actually sure who put the ball in. I think it was Dippo Akinyemi securing himself a brace. What I can tell you for certain is it's Billericay Town 1, Dulwich Hamlet 2.
Wasn't that a brilliant run from Clunis? His original turn was absolutely wonderful. He carried the ball probably 50 yards. It wasn't easy because the pitch isn't in great condition, and then he laid it off on a plate, and the goal resulted. But that was made by Clunis, and he can be well proud of that.
That was absolutely astonishing play from Nyren Clunis. I've said he's a man who can produce a trick or two, and he is often guilty. He's one of those types of players of giving the ball away cheaply sometimes, but he can go and do stuff like that, which no matter where you are of a footballing disposition in terms of your affiliations or being partisan, you have to admire the level of skill there, as surmised nicely by my co-commentator. And it really is all on now. We spoke beforehand about the faint chances of someone, most probably Dulwich Hamlet, giving Billericay Town a run for their money in the title race, and the fact that this would be a must-win game to do that. Well, they're in front. The statistics would tell you they've had less of the possession and less of the significant shots at goal, but they're 2-1 ahead. And there we go, it is Dipo Akinyemi with a goal. Ball in towards the far post. Offside flag up, and Dulwich Hamlet will have a free kick just inside their own area. But just going back to that from Clunis, as you say, the courage to carry the ball, which is never something Nyren Clunis really lacks, but sometimes the end product isn't always there. He laid it on a plate for Akinyemi, couldn't miss.
He had real pace, and that's what made the difference there. But he was able to look up and see the opportunity there. That was a really well worked goal. There were only two of them up on their own. Dulwich had been defending at the time, but the ability to break away quickly is very important.
And what was crucial was it was a 2-on-2, but he spun Joe Kizzy, left him for dead. Kizzy had half a second where he could have chopped Clunis down and possibly taken a yellow card, if you want to be really cynical about it. Clunis was so quick that he was gone before he could blink, really, and then you were into a 2-on-1.
Now, it's always good to see players who can run with real pace.
Clunis, the type of player that if you were rocking up as a fan to pay for your admission for the night, he's this sort of player you'd hopes on the team sheet, and he's just demonstrated why. But Billericay Town have got plenty of players who match that description too, as they try and approach the edge of the Dulwich Hamlet penalty area. Here's Urquhart. Urquhart crosses in right-footed, headed away by Ricky Hales. Ball in towards Bricknell, and it is surely 2-2. Great save by Corey Adai. Goodness me, that goalkeeper is having a stormer. Glenn Tamplin throws his hands in the air. He, like me, must have thought that was 2-2. I was just about to say it is 2-2, the shot from Bricknell coming in.
It was a fine save. I think it was a fine save.
Adai diving to his left, keeps it at 2-1, when really a goal looked the more likely outcome. Ball in again, and Adai catches and claims it, dives on it. And I reckon that we're approaching normally when stoppage time would come into question. But just to add to the drama, as if first versus third coming from behind to win 2-1, and the off-field issues with these clubs isn't enough, as well as the excellent atmosphere we've had here all night, we're also going to have about 10-15 minutes of stoppage time. This game really has lived up to the hype. Aimless ball forward from Billericay, and Billy Bricknell throws his arms up in frustration that he doesn't get the service he'd have wanted. And now it's Dulwich pressing for a third. Here's Dipo Akinyemi. Akinyemi bursting towards the box, really well tackled by Dean Inman, who put Billericay Town in front what seems like a long time ago at that end of the ground in the 10th minute or so with that header. Concedes the corner, thuds into the advertising boards. Nathan Ferguson will take that corner on the far side away from us, with Dulwich Hamlet all of a sudden chasing a third goal to give themselves a 2-goal cushion, which I must say I did not expect to be saying.
Well, I didn't think they'd be able to play quality football like this on a pitch like this.
Nyren Clunis had something to say about that, didn't he?
No, he showed that he could do it, and it was wonderful to watch.
In comes the corner. There's plenty of players lined up on the 6-yard box. It comes to the edge of the box. Here's Clunis, shoots from distance, well saved. A tricky low one for Alan Julian to deal with a crowd of players in between him and where the shot came from. And now it's Billericay Town looking to mount something on the break. Jake Robinson wins the throw-in. Robinson not that far off a half-century of goals this season, 42 in all competitions coming towards tonight. Just the one would do, sure, on this occasion to level things at 2-2. Although Billericay Town would have wanted to win this game, a draw would not be disastrous for them at all. It would keep them 2 points clear of Dulwich Hamlet, having played 4 games less than them, as the Dulwich Hamlet fans, buoyed by the fact their team are now 2-1 up, try and urge Glenn Tamplin for a wave. I'm not sure they're going to have too much luck with that endeavour. Tamplin watching on, a frustrated man, and it's an aimless ball forward from Billericay Town that only finds the feet of Sanchez Ming. Billy Bicknell again is throwing his hands in the air, and I can totally see why. As a substitute striker, you expect a bit of service. Immediately as he came on, Dulwich Hamlet made it 2-1, but here's Ricky Modeste. Modeste appeals for the foul, and it's given. It was given very slowly from Tanashe Abraham. It's in fact a booking for diving. Well, I was about to say I didn't think there was much in the tackle, and Ricky Modeste has gone in the book for diving with not long left to go in normal time. Modeste skipped inside. He was past Tanashe Abraham, so I'm not sure what the incentive of him was to go down anyway. I was
surprised there. I think there was a little clip, but he did go down a little bit late. But the player's clearly very upset because he doesn't think that was the case. But I personally think there was contact there.
And a good example there between myself and my co-commentator Gerald Clesham as to why, for all we can use technology in football and continue to modernise, there will always be that classic debate between two people. One who sees an incident one way and one who sees it the other. Free kick to be taken by Corey Adai on the edge of his own area. Pumps it long towards the other end of the box. The box at the other end of the pitch. And Nathan Ferguson is climbing all over Liam Hughes, all over his love handles there. And we continue on with Billericay Town have a free kick just outside their own area as this game continues on at what is now a breakneck speed. What a moment this would be for Dulwich Hamlet if they could win this game. They've had such a difficult situation off the field ever since the Meadow developers bought their Champion Hill home for just under $6 million back in 2014. 3.5 years later, the development still hasn't gone ahead, and Andrew McDaniel, head of Meadow, was on BBC London in late 2017 saying he'd do everything to keep the club afloat. I think it's fair to say in the 4 months since, Meadow's actions haven't necessarily lived up to that. I don't think it's particularly controversial to say so. Well, there we go. I said there'd be a lot of stoppage time. It was even more than I thought. 17 minutes added on. Not every day you see that at a football ground. I predicted a 10 p.m. finish, and we'll finish just short of 10 p.m. Who writes the script for a game like this, Jess?
It's amazing. That's the longest period of added time I think I've ever seen in a match.
I remember John Terry once in a cup final. There was 15 minutes or so because I think it was he or another Chelsea player. It's the Czech incident where Petr Cech was hauled off. Dulwich Hamlet under severe pressure from Billericay Town. Long throw into the box, appeals for handball. The Billericay Town players feel like they've got a good case, not given. Well, this is just drama of the highest order here. It's a corner, in fact. Right-footed, in swinging it will come from the far side. Dulwich Hamlet have left two players up. We mentioned before half-time how they like to offer a threat on the counter-attack. It is towards the near post. It's headed clear, and there could be a counter-attack chance here, but it doesn't quite fall for Nyron Clunis. Clunis then manages to tackle Danny Waldron and concede a throw. It's just about in long throw territory, so this one will be hauled into the box as well. And Dulwich Hamlet singing about Tuscany. I'll come back and explain that one for you in a second. For those that don't know, as Billy Bricknell shoots and Corey Adai in the muddy goalmouth gathers, Dulwich Hamlet singing about the fact that they've got the same colours as Tuscany, pink and blue, which is probably the only thing that I'd say connects those two places. And given that we're set here freezing ourselves in Billericay, Jez, I'd suggest it's not the climate that they share.
It's not the climate, certainly. It's a cold evening here, but they're in good heart because they've come from behind. I didn't think they'd be able to get back into this game, but they've taken Billericay apart here, and they look comfortable now.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say comfortable. I think we've seen enough twists in this game that, given the fact we've still got another 15 minutes of injury time, yes, you did hear me correctly, there's plenty of time, and the way both these sides are playing, quite open and expansively, and Dulwich Hamlet offering a threat on the counter-attack, Billericay pressing bodies forward, I think we've got at least another goal in this one as Dulwich Hamlet win a throw on halfway down the right flank. It's been a heck of a game. Just going back to quickly that off-field issue with Dulwich Hamlet, for those who maybe missed our pre-match shows, going back to Andrew McDaniel and recent events with Meadow, well, Southwark Council blocked the planning application from Meadow on account of the amount of affordable housing that would be built on Champion Hill, with a ground set to be built in nearby land. And then there was also a libel threat from Meadow to the head of Southwark Council, Peter John, for comments on Twitter. So that relationship soured, but this could be a huge lift for Dulwich Hamlet on their longest winless run this season before tonight, 6 without a victory. They are 2-1 up, but they've got real danger here. Superb ball from Billy Bricknell in behind. Great chance for Billericay to level things up. Cross from Butcher towards the far post. Billericay takes it. Bricknell, takes it down, but he can only find a pink shirt, and Glenn Tampling puts his head over his hands in utter frustration. Tampling very easy to pick out in his flat cap and his, I'm not sure what colour I'd call his suit, or what material. I'm not an expert in that kind of thing. I'm not a tailor. Here's Bricknell. Great save to his right by Corey Adai. But Billy Bricknell showing what he can do. It's still in the box. It's an absolute scramble of bodies, and then over the top of the stand by Danny Waldron. Then Tampling turns his back on the action and throws his hand in the air in utter frustration. That's a really poor decision by Waldron. He's got options left and right, and he shot it over the bar and over the stand, Jez.
I mean, it was literally over the stand, and as he shaped up the field, you knew he's never going to be on target with that. But there's pressure from Billericay now. They think they can do something, but let's see what happens.
It's turning into a Rorke's Drift reenaction, frankly, Jez.
What's going on here then?
What do you mean? Well, our listeners can't see, so it's up to us to tell them. so we're meant to be their eyes. We'll do our best, dear listeners.
I thought the referee was approaching the bench there with these, but no, it was just because all the players are congregated on that side for the goal kick.
Thanks, Jez. We'll get back to the action. Dulwich bringing it forward, and they've got to the byline, cross from the right over the head of everybody. Tanisha Abraham trying to keep it in play, can't do so. Ricky Modeste in a rush to take the flow in down the right, sends it back to Dean Inman. Inman, the goal scorer, to put Billericay up 1-0 up quite a while back. Goes long, and Dulwich Hamlet can see the throw. Ricky Hales going safety first, if in doubt put it out. It's taken quickly by Billericay, who are mounting waves of pressure here. Headed away by Hales, that crosses. There's another chance for Modeste to cross in his red boots, gets the better of a tired Abrahams. Gets to the byline, Modeste, and beats his man again. Now he'll cross left-footed into the 6-yard box. Chested down. Superb save by Adai. Billy Bricknell shot on the turn right-footed. Either side of Corey Adai, it's a certain goal. Even then the keeper had to palm it away from the danger and just about managed to do so. And arguably he is our man of the match tonight on either team.
I agree. I mean, that's got to be about 7 or 8 absolutely top quality saves.
And he might have to make another one here. Cross from the right, headed up but not away by a pink shirt. Bricknell in there jumping through it, but he only jumps into air. Ferguson puts in an aggressive aerial tackle on Callum Butcher, and that will without doubt be a free kick. It might be a booking too. Down the inside left channel, 25 yards out, shooting position. Gavin Rose has got his hands in the air in fury. I must say I'm not really sure why. Just to recap, we are in 17 minutes of injury time, mainly due to a back problem for Reece Alasani. I make it this game will finish at approximately 9:54, so we've still got another 10 minutes or so left. Substitution being prepared by Dulwich Hamlet. Anthony Achiempong saying that the 2 Dulwich substitutes we've had so far have not matched their shirt numbers from the team sheet, so we'll have to possibly seek some extra confirmation on that from the man to my right, who is looking at me in bemusement, but does at the very least have access to a Twitter feed, which is more than we do, dear listener, because our phone is busy occupied with the MixLR app that is allowing the 37 of you to join in and listen to us. Here comes the free kick from Bricknell, just over. Maybe that's one of those that from our angle looked a bit closer than it was, just couldn't quite get it up and under in time, which Jez can be the problem when you're that close to the edge of the box.
It can be. I think some players say they prefer it a little bit further away, but he was shooting at a goalkeeper on the top of his game, so he's going to have to do very well to beat Adai from there. You keep talking. So Adai's about to take the goal kick now. So players congregating in the middle of the pitch. Long ball up.
Oh, it is good. Yeah.
What's the referee blown for?
Well, I mean, it's up to us to tell the dear people at home.
The referee's blown and asked for the goal kick to be taken again.
Well, I'm glad that you were looking up because I was busy conferring with kindly gentleman in the press box next to me who's been incredibly helpful with the Hamlet substitutions. I said hesitantly Anthony Achiempong because I haven't seen Anthony Achiempong in a while, but I don't think he's grown 2 heads tall from when I last saw him. So I was waiting for confirmation on who it actually was, and it is Nathan Green. Green, who is a buccaneering wing-back, so it's very much a like-for-like substitution with Abraham, and actually can offer a threat on the counter-attack with his pace if they can get him into that kind of a situation, Hamlet. Nathan Green coming on past the 90-minute mark as Alan Julian's come a long way out of his goal and done a superb job of thwarting a ball over the top, which had Dipo Akinyemi eyeing his hat-trick, and Julian in all yellow, apart from big stains of brown from the mud on his kit, goes long. Hamlet win it back, and then it's played through again to Akinyemi. Akinyemi in a foot race against Dean Inman. Akinyemi tries to shove Inman off the ball, and that was really needless. Gavin Rose looks away wryly on the Dulwich bench in frustration. It must be one of those where you just think, what? Why did you need a forwards tackle at that time? Because Inman was in a really tricky situation.
He was in a tricky situation, but he looked second best to get the ball, and he fouled him, and he didn't get away with it.
Nathan Green, should be pointed out, the absurdity as a substitute of coming on in the 95th minute, knowing that a game still has 10 minutes to go, and a very frenetic 10 minutes, I would imagine, as a long ball forward from Billericay is repelled. It's then hooked back in towards the box. The substitute Green does get his first touch, heading it away, and that's a lot of what Dulwich Hamlet might need for the next 10 minutes or so if they're to hold out here. Long ball forward, headed down, and now it's with the feet of Kenny Beanie. Beanie slides it through to Cargo. It's a 4-on-4 if Dulwich Hamlet can work this one quickly. Here's the overlapping run of Sanchez Ming. Billericay slowly getting bodies back in behind it. Dulwich Hamlet have lost a bit of their momentum now. Cargo finds Beanie out on the right touchline. Cross straight in towards a blue shirt. As Gavin Rose kicking every ball in frustration. His Chargers give it away. Tempted ball out towards Green. Green up against Modeste. It's a good old 50-50 scrap, and Modeste wins that one. The deflection takes it forward towards the feet of Taylor. Taylor goes back to Corey Adai. Adai with it on the edge of his box, not where he'd want it. And under rear pressure from Jake Robinson, he actually did very well there to find touch on halfway. Like a fly half in the Six Nations, camped inside his own try line with 3 or 4 players running at him. Somehow managed to find a decent touch, Corey Adai.
Well, they're moving the ball around reasonably well, and using the goalkeeper, which is the fashion these days, but it doesn't have to go wrong very often to look very silly.
Dulwich Hamlet finished 3rd last season. They're 3rd coming into tonight, but they could move up and above Billericay Town, albeit having played just the 4 games more than their opponents with victory here. Starting tonight, 2 points behind the home side. Attack from Dulwich Hamlet breaks down. Alan Julian goes long, looking for Billy Bricknell, and just maybe they've missed the aerial threat Adam Cunnington had given them until he came off for Bricknell 20 minutes or so, because they're not winning quite as many of these flick-ons as they were, Billericay Town. But a shot from distance by Butcher, just wide of the right-hand post, and it was wide enough that actually Adai was pretty comfortable letting it go. We've got a stoppage, which means a substitution. Glenn Tampton has got his arm around Nick Wheeler, just passing on some last instructions to his charger. Who will Wheeler come on for is the question. The answer is Rob Swain. I make it we've got 6 minutes of this game to go. We've had 90 plus 11 approximately. Some spectator in front of me says 6 in an exaggerated way, and I know exactly what they mean. It's been a heck of a night, and it could be a heck of a night for Dulwich Hamlet fans listening to this. Thank you to everybody involved. We're now up to 43 tuning in and listening now. Really appreciate your company for what is an exciting finish to this game. 2-1 to Dulwich Hamlet. They have the lead courtesy of a double from Dipo Akinyemi after Dean Inman had given Billericay Town, the league leaders, as of coming into this game, the lead.
So Billericay are going 3 at the back, it looks like, and pressing forward. Will it be enough?
We'll have to wait and see. They've got 5 minutes or so, I make it, to get themselves back into this game. Len Tamplin, a man who doesn't need too much of an introduction, winner of the Pride of Essex Award for kind donation, £45,000 to Harry Parker, a 7-year-old child who had cerebral palsy, a man who's installed the huge murals that you can see outside, built these facilities, put £2 million into the club, hasn't been at many games since the turn of the year due to illness, but still, despite not being at many games, managed to have the controversial incident where he sacked himself as manager after a very disappointing FA Trophy defeat. After 2 days of meetings, it was unanimously decided he'd stay on till the end of the season. He admitted that his demands are not always achievable and that can elevate stress on the players and the managers. I've got to say, Jez, he looks like a pretty stressed man on the touchline right now.
He's a character, but when you're on the top, you've got to stay there. That's the difficult thing. He's had a great season up to now. Can he maintain it? Can he motivate the players now? But they're in trouble at the moment.
They're in trouble in regards to tonight's game, and they might well not be league leaders by the end of tonight, albeit we must reiterate the point that they've got plenty of games in hand. But we said at the top of this programme that realistically, if Dulwich Hamlet wanted any hope, despite their off-field terrible situation of potentially needing to move out of Champion Hill for the rest of this season with them being evicted from their own ground, they had to find a way to win this match tonight. And after Billericay Town dominated the first half, they find themselves behind, and Billericay Town fans must almost wonder how. As a long goal kick forward sparks a midfield battle, and as has been characteristic of a lot of this game so far, it's Dulwich Hamlet who win that midfield battle, and Akinyemi is offside. Just coming back to Mr. Tamplin as well, I mean, you're a very powerful man in Essex and a local cardiologist of some repute, but he's number 2 on the Essex Power 100 list. Yeah. I must say, when I saw that, my first question was who's number 1? And I didn't actually think to check. Oh, really? Well, there you go. As Dulwich Hamlet have actually burst through from a counter-attack, and they've got a third! Game, set and match belongs to Dulwich Hamlet. There's a mass pitch invasion from the fans on the far side. Almost all of the Dulwich Hamlet players are running to join the fans. It's Billericay Town 1, Dulwich Hamlet 3. Long ball forward, not dealt with. Nyron Clunis took it around the goalkeeper and it was put into the net. And it's absolute jubilation for the away side. The title race is very much on. Billericay Town still the favourites with 4 games in hand on everybody else. But it's the pink and blue army that you can hear singing, because it's Billericay Town 1, Dulwich Hamlet 3, and if there's not an improbable couple of goals in the last 2 minutes, Manchester United, Barcelona style, Dulwich Hamlet will be league leaders by the end of tonight. Goodness me.
I think that was a marvellous goal. I think once again Clunis' decision making and his movement was excellent. He took it round the keeper very, very well and just slipped it into the middle of the net. I think, in my view, Dulwich have looked pretty comfortable. Billericay, I think it's just launching the ball forward now.
Well, no, pardon me. I was just explaining that if they kept going at the same rate at which they got points, they would get that. Do you see what I mean? Oh, I know, yeah.
Hang on.
We've got a goal to talk about.
Modeste,
potentially Ricky Modeste, distracted for a second by a spectator as the Billericay Town fans leave en masse. I said earlier tonight that if Billericay Town could repeat their form from the first 2/3 of the season, in the last third they get 100 plus points. A Billericay Town fan turning to me and saying that they'd be lucky to get 80 plus, and I could see what he means, but we actually nearly missed a second goal for Ricky Modeste. It is now a corner for Billericay Town, but they're 3-1 down. I make it that we've got about a minute or 2 left, so realistically they've got to score with this attack to have any hope, Jez.
Well, some of the fans are leaving now. I think they know that it's not going to happen. There's a corner here. Will they get a consolation goal? But they're not going to win this.
Could be their first home defeat in 14. They've had 13 straight home wins at one point this season in all competitions. Lofted towards the far post, headed down, caught by Corey Adai. Dulwich Hamlet just 6 points from their last 6 away games before tonight. But what a victory this could be for them as they start a run of 4 away games in 9 days. Travelling to Brentwood on Thursday in the Velocity Trophy quarter-final, also known as the League Cup. And then on Saturday they have their first ever visit to Brightlingsea Region. We've got an off-the-ball incident between...
Incident here. I think the Billericay player fouled the goalkeeper. Could he be in trouble here?
It's a yellow. And there's confusion about that. I must say, without meaning to sound like Arsene Wenger, I didn't see it. What I can tell you for a fact is Jake Robinson's gone in the book. I reckon time is pretty much up here, and Billericay Town might have 2 cup finals to look forward to. The Essex Senior Cup and the Isthmian League Cup final, the first at Colchester, the second at Averley in the next couple of months. But they might well have problems in the league going forward to seal up this title, because they find themselves set for a 3-1 defeat at home to third in the league, and Dulwich might be going from third in the league, or should be going now from third in the league to first. Alan Julian has a free kick inside his own half, one last chance to pump it long. We don't know the score between Margate and Leiston. Margate starting the night second. The full-time whistle has gone. The Roars are in the away end. What a game. What a story. It's an absolutely incredible match that finishes Billericay Town 1, Dulwich Hamlet 3. The visitors, you'd have to say, probably fortunate, and the scoreline not really reflecting the balance of play in this match. The first half dominated by Billericay Town.
This was a very clinical performance by Dulwich. They went down early on, but they came back and scored 3 really good.
Like 5, is that all right?
They scored 3 really good goals to win this game.
We're actually just short of 50 listeners as we speak now. 48. Thank you very much to everybody who's been with us. And there is quite a scene to paint for you away to our left. The pink and blue scarves are out in force, and the Dulwich Hamlet fans are being greeted by their players. It's magnificent moments for the away side. For Billericay Town, this is huge disappointment. They've now lost 4 in a row. And if you're a Billericay fan, as I said, we don't know the Margate result, but what we do know, there is also a bit of a brawl going on between the two sides. I've just been alerted to by Jez to our right. But just heading back to the table situation, Dulwich are now 1 point above Billericay Town, having played 4 games more. But without doubt, they've got the momentum in a potential title race, having gone and won here tonight.
I mean, this was a cracking game of football, and I think in the first half, Billericay looked just so comfortable. They were lobbing balls in, and Dulwich were struggling. I think Dulwich then just showed their quality in the second half and moving the ball around. They're going over to their fans now. They're absolutely jubilant. This is a really big win for them, because it makes a big difference to the momentum in the...
Get a picture of it. Absolutely, well, scenes, as the young people like to say, scenes at the AGP Arena are not the kind of scenes that those from Essex would like to be seeing. There's 11 jubilant pink shirts, and they've earned the right to be jubilant, goodness me, because Billericay are a very good side and had the lead and really dominated the first half of this game. Dulwich Hamlet found a way to stay in the game. They equalised through Akinyemi's header just before half-time. They led through Akinyemi after a superb assist from Nair Clunis in what was approximately the 75th minute, just after Reece Alasani went off, stretched it off with a horrible back injury, and then sealed in what I made to be approximately the 15th minute of 17 added on. Nair Clunis dancing around the keeper and putting it in. And for once at the AGP Arena, after 11 wins and 2 draws in the league and plenty of success in the Cup, Jez, it's the away fans that you can hear cheering. And, well, for all that Dulwich Hamlet had to withstand a lot of pressure, credit to them for managing to stay in the game and then win it.
There were 2 great performances for me. I think Clunis really made the second goal, and he made things happen. He just looked dangerous with his pace. But I think the player that made all the difference, and I'd give the man of the match award to, would be Corey Adai. I think he must have made at least 8 really good, high-quality saves. And the first half could have been a completely different story, with Billericay being 3 or 4 up. But he kept them in it, and it took 2 or 3 very good goals then, and they've won it.
So Dulwich Hamlet have a first win in 7. I had written in my notes that they had 4 straight home games recently and only took 2 points. Could that be a missed chance in the sense of the title race? But, well, they've really taken that momentum onto an 180 degree now by going and winning at Billericay Town. In case you're interested in both teams' upcoming fixtures, because these two look like they will be the 2 to battle it out for that automatic spot, the 1 automatic spot. Dulwich, as I mentioned, have Brentwood in the Cup, but then they go to Brightlingsea and Leatherhead, home to Worthing, then away to Lowestoft and Needham Market, before hosting Dorking. So plenty of away games coming up for Dulwich Hamlet, but if they can play like they did tonight, that won't necessarily be a problem. As for Billericay, who've lost 4 in a row, they host Staines and they travel to Tonbridge Angels, and then they're back here for Dorking and Needham Market before travelling to Hendon, who are currently in the playoff spot. So plenty of home games coming up for Billericay Town, the side who, well, they must be reeling a little bit, Jez, in that dressing room right now as Dulwich Hamlet continue their celebrations in front of us.
I think so, yeah, I think so. I mean, what will Glenn be saying to his players now?
Well, you're the co-commentator, you're the summariser, I'd be asking you, but I mean, a penny for their thoughts. We know he's a man that says it as it is.
I'd sort of say that can he motivate the players anymore? I mean, they obviously have had a great first half of the season, but they're running into a bit of trouble now. And all I remember is observe him waving his arms around here, lifting his arms up, not really knowing what to tell them or what to do.
Another important point to make is Champlin has said that this project needs 1,500 plus crowds. Now, before tonight, just 3 of Billericay's last 14 games had got 1,500 plus crowds, ever since they actually had more than 3,000 here in the FA Cup match against Leatherhead. In contrast, Dulwich Hamlet have hit that figure in 5 of their last 9. It's almost quite ironic given the off-field situation going on with Dulwich Hamlet. Someone quite cynically joked to me earlier today that if you put Billericay's off-field situation with Dulwich Hamlet's support, particularly at home, then you'd have a hell of a club really going places. Not that either of these teams aren't doing so at the moment.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's it's all about momentum, really. But I was very impressed with the way Dulwich moved the ball around and scored those goals.
I certainly was as well. Just in case you're interested in the head-to-head between these, well, it's a bit of vengeance for Dulwich because Billericay won 3-1 at Hamlet back in August in front of nearly 1,700. Ashley Carew was on the score sheet, but then a double from Billy Bricknell, and Jake Robinson scored from his own half. And last season, ironically, was also shared in away wins between the pair. Billericay winning 3-0 at Dulwich, and then Dulwich winning 2-0 at Ricky not long after. Just one last point, or a couple of points I'd make, which I'd ask you about as well, Jez, before we go, which I had in my notes, is Billericay before tonight played 51 games. 22 in the Cup as well in the league, 9 in the FA Cup, 8 in the FA Trophy before losing in the 4th round to Wealdstone, and 5 in the League Cup, which they're into the final after beating Corinthians 4-2 here in the semi. Glenn Tampton has been very open about we want to win every competition. We want to put all our best players out, and that's a very honourable aim, and I think most fans would love to hear that kind of chat from their manager. But do you think maybe after a game like tonight, and the league title suddenly looking a little bit more nervous in terms of their grip on it, there'll be some Billericay fans thinking, well, maybe could we have just not prioritised the Essex Cup, the FA Trophy, and not had players that are quite so leggy, maybe?
Yeah, I think there is a price to be paid, and I think in the last 20 minutes, because this was a long game, it was almost like there was extra time there. But the Billericay players, I think they did look a bit tired. I think they lost ideas a little bit, but I think they were tired players. And there'll be a lot of games coming up now because they have games in hand. And it's a little bit worrying if you're a Billericay supporter now, because I didn't see a great deal of leadership going on the pitch in the last 10-15 minutes or so. They were up against it and they had to make things happen, but they did look leggy and tired.
And if you wanted to be constructively critical, you'd say that looking at a team sheet with guys like Cunnington, Robinson, Modeste, Inman, Waldron, coming off the bench, Hughes as well, this is a team with players who got experience beyond this level, and you can understand why Glenn Tamplin would get frustrated because he can't do it all on his own necessarily.
Man, you always wonder whether the best time to pick up players is on their way up divisions or on their way down from divisions, because you never know what's going through their minds then. Speaking of one player as well, for Reece Alassani, I hope he's okay actually. It was a horrible to see him injured there, and he was down and had paramedics around him for a long period of time, and you really do fear the worst when you see that.
Couldn't agree more, and we're probably going to wrap our coverage here now with Dulwich Hamlet heading off the pitch and some of you fair listeners rightly drifting away with the result decided. Thank you to the 35 of you who are still with us as we speak. For those Also interested in the top of the goal charts, Jake Robinson not able to add to his 24 tonight, but Jordan Chanoza, who's also been in the Football League before, has 27 for Margate, Nico Muir for 26 with Hendon. They're both in and around the playoff race, as are Folkestone, who were 4th before tonight, and Staines, who were 6th. And just something to reflect on as well, in the Billericay sense, it could of course have been Dagenham and Redbridge. Tried to take them over before he went to Billericay Town, and he ended up here. But I think it's probably a chance for Billericay to take stock and think, well, actually, would we have taken this position at the start of the season? The answer is yes. And now it's a case of, can they regroup? From what you've seen, where do you see this title race now compared to where we saw it 2 hours ago? It's definitely shifted.
Yeah, I think had Billericay won tonight, it would have been fairly straightforward. They've still got a lot of games in hand, and I think they've got enough about the club to hold on anyway. But it's not as comfortable as maybe as it should have been.
And of course, it's not as comfortable as well now because they're not top of the league. As Corey Adai, without doubt, the man of the match. A really nice moment to see, actually. Gets various Billericay Town. Yes, pardon me, I was checking I got the team right. Billericay Town fans in front of him actually shaking his hand and saying well played, and that's the least he deserved because he was excellent. He was their man of the match, and he was also my man of the match and also your man of the match. That's all from us. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much to the 32 of you who are still with us. And, well, it's just quite bizarre. It's just that moment after everybody's left the ground, the stewards start cleaning it up, and you look around and you think, what was all the fuss about? What happened here? 2.5 hours of carnage, stretchers, goals, fantastic football and drama between first versus third, which of course is now reversed with Dulwich Hamlet going top. And that's it. I've been Michael McCann.
I'm Gerald Clesham, and thanks very much for listening. It was a great game of football.